I am amping myself up. Do this. Yeah. All right. Hey, welcome to Hard Mode Selected. And today, I have a guest with me whose special meter is currently full and ready to tackle today's pod. None other than the homie Phil, special meter. What's going on, Phil?
I mean, am I a guest? Did I get demoted? Am I no longer a co-host?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Hard Mode Selected, where we share experiences of life, gaming, and fandom on hard mode. I am your stubborn gamer, Drado, and I have here my boy Phil, whose special meter is currently full and ready to tackle today's pod. How you doing, Phil? What's
Hey,
going on?
man, I'm good. Thank you for asking. Hi, everybody.
Hey, and of course, special huge shout out to the homie Skipper Finn, who could not make it to today's pod. He's currently tackling some hard mode tasks himself currently, but he is truly missed on today's show.
Indeed.
So Phil and I will be hitting you guys with some fun topics today. If you're new to the channel, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that notification bell, which is down here, right there. Yep, you see it. Hit that notification bell so you know when we drop some new things. And of course, we'll have timestamps available for you guys to follow along. Because today we're going to be talking about some wonderful voice acting topics. We're going to talk about stunt casting. We're going to go into some voicing outside ethnicity topics, approaches to voice acting. We're going to talk about what qualities we enjoy from voice actors, as well as our experiences with voice acting and our aspirations. Should be a good time. Before we jump into all of that, though, I got one question for you, Phil.
Oh, shit. What is it?
What have you been watching lately? Since we're going to be jumping into some voice acting stuff, what's been on your my list? What you been watching?
Oh, man, starting with the heavy questions. Uh, I've been actually taking the roommate through some stuff I love from the 90s. We've been
Oh,
rewatching. I've been rewatching. I've been showing her uh Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And
nice.
and now we have just consumed the first 3 seasons. And so we're on season 4, which
Mhm.
is exciting for me because that's when you can also start to watch Angel.
Ooh, I
Angel,
was just gonna
Buffy and
ask when
Angel.
y'all gonna jump into
Yes.
that.
Yes. No, Angel. I mean, Angel gets a lot of love and a lot of hate. Like I think he's one of those characters that like either
Really?
you're with him or you ain't. He's mostly popular, but like there are some people that I think kind of got a little exhausted from his the love story or whatever. But I'm just like, nah,
Mm,
like I fucks with Angel. I fucks with Buffy, but I also fucks with Angel. He's my favorite character out of the Buffy verse, if you will.
mhm.
And it made me a David Boreanaz fan. I got super excited when Kingdom Hearts dropped, and David Boreanaz was the voice of Squall Leonhardt, aka
Wow.
Leon, for the
Mhm.
uninitiated to the Final Fantasy VIII. And I was just like, this is perfect. He does brooding so well, but no, I think it's been a great thing to jump back into. Obviously, I have to preface this by saying that like yes, I'm aware that Joss Whedon is in hot water for a number of things. And I
Joss Whedon.
can't entirely speak on it because I wasn't there. I will say that I do believe that there's a serious problem because there's too many. They're coming from too many places in his work history that for it to
Mhm.
all be like random or made up. So I'm just like, that's too bad. But hopefully, he's been quiet, but hopefully, like he's been. I don't know. I hope he heals or whatever, gets better. Maybe make some apologies someday because it's a shame because I love his writing and his direction. I
Yeah.
love his writing and direction. Avengers 1 and 2, Buffy and
Mhm.
Angel, um,
Mhm.
Agents of Shield,
Agents of Shield.
Firefly,
Yep.
and Serenity, Dollhouse. Like I haven't Dr. Horrible's sing along blog. I have not seen a Joss Whedon anything that I did not have a fucking great time with. And it's just
Mhm.
it's always a bummer when real world bad behavior kind of
Yep.
taints it a little bit. But you know what? I've been enjoying the rewatch. I can actually just appreciate that like a lot of talent and skill went into this, and not even just his, but everybody
Mhm.
who worked on those shows made them what they are, and I will love them forever. So having a great time. Having a great time.
That part. I okay, so I'm not a Buffy anything. I know nothing of
Yet,
Buffy other than
yet.
yet, other than who plays Buffy or who's played Buffy's in the past. I've also I've you know what's crazy? I watched some episodes of Angel and never watched Buffy. It's weird.
Interesting.
It was like
Interesting.
I would catch it on TV. I'd be like, who was this? Oh, well, he's cool. Oh, he's from this show. But I think I like this more. So I'm gonna just I'm gonna
No,
just watch these
that's no,
episodes.
that happens. That happens. I think some people end up leaning more one or the other. I'm one of the people that's like, I love it all. But like the thing is, because I know you've been watching some interesting stuff lately, and I think this
Yeah,
ties in
yeah, yeah.
because the thing about Angel, Buffy is about growing up. Buffy is about high school
Mhm.
as horror. It's about coming of age. It's about she's more like akin to Spider-Man, like
Mm.
always broke, cracking jokes in the face of danger, but like life
Mhm.
keeps like hitting her hella hard, and like she has to find that strength to get back up. Angel is more about being an adult who's already made a bunch of mistakes and has to
Mhm.
learn how to live with that. And the thing that I think links to what you've been watching lately is that it's a detective show. At least in the beginning seasons, it's very
Yeah.
much a crime thriller with a spooky like bent to it. And I think that's kind of fun.
Mhm. It has like that whole supernatural vibe to it a little bit where it's like solving whatever these mysteries or cases are. Um and I never seen Supernatural. I'm just going by what my wife watches because she loves Supernatural, is a huge fan. Um
If y'all
but
didn't know,
yeah,
you cannot beat his wife at TV trivia. I've tried.
and Buffy, Angel, Supernatural, Firefly, all that. That's her. That's all her. Now, I love shows with a little bit of well, not a little bit, a lot of mystery and a little bit of uh 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 I guess supernatural-esque stuff to it. I'm not that big on that. Even though I love sci-fi, I don't know. I think I like the mystery of it the most, and if it
Yeah.
has that element of sci-fi or supernatural in it, cool, that's fine. But I'm mostly gravitating towards the who done it portion of it because that's what I like. I'm a Law and Order, CSI,
Word, word,
NCIS
word, word.
type of person. So I'm currently watching this show on Netflix called The Lincoln Lawyer, which was a
Hey.
movie. For those who have not seen the movie, I can't even tell you what year it came out, maybe like the early 2000s,
M-
but
Matthew
um,
McConaughey, right?
yeah, Matthew McConaughey. I want to say 2009, maybe 8, something like that. The movie came out based on a novel. It's about a lawyer who does his work out of his car, out of his Lincoln. It's literally that. He
That's what's up.
he's solved these cases out in his car. Obviously, there's more to it than that. His father was also a lawyer, so he grew up, looking up to his father, wanting to do what he does, defending the bad guys, giving everybody a chance to have that representation for themselves, proving you know uh, that everybody gets a chance to have that um, that someone to defend them and help them get through whether they did or not. he's
That's
he's that
dope.
he's that type of person. It doesn't matter. He feels everybody deserves a shot to be in court and to get a fair trial. So the show itself has a lot of without giving too much away, it has a lot of like other things going on with his character. That kind of ties into him being a lawyer. I don't want to give it away because it's a really major part of the story, but it's a really, really good time if you're into court trials, mysteries, whodunits. It's a great show for you. I'm truly having a blast. I'm on season two, which
Ooh.
they have a season three coming this year. I want to say fall 2024, I believe. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm glad I jumped into it. It's been a good time, especially coming off of finishing Warrior. Um,
Ooh, I'm not there yet, but I
literally,
need to.
literally just finished Warrior. It was time for me to jump into something that was more modern and not as racy because I was trying to I was really trying to hang in there with ignoring of that stuff, but it's hard. I mean, back then it's what it was. You know, you can't. You know, that's what happens back in those times. It was a lot of
Oh yeah,
racial stuff
no.
going on, but hey, it is what it is. Whereas this one, I can actually go in there and I can just have fun with my mysteries.
That's great. That's great. You know, I feel like with the stuff I've been watching lately, I can't actually just kick back. I mean, I'm having a blast. I'm having a blast, but I feel like
Hmm.
I've been watching everything I've been watching has like the kind of those heavy undertones. And I'm sure Lincoln Lawyer does
Mm.
too, but like
Yeah, yeah, of
you
course.
know, but like it doesn't get like that real as far as like the specific thing that you're trying to avoid, which is the heavy
Yeah,
racism.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I know we gotta keep it moving, but I did want to this what you said reminded me because
yeah.
I do want to pimp this a little bit. Uh, I've been watching Mayor of Kingstown.
Oh,
Um,
I'm only on season one. I need to get through it.
oh, okay, dope. It is honestly, it's honestly my favorite thing I've seen Jeremy Renner do, which is hard to say because I love
Mm,
comic book superheroes and you know Hawkeye's a big
hmm.
deal, but like I think just from the complexities of all the characters and just what it's about, and it is
Hmm.
about some real shit. It is about like you know the American prison system and everyone that's tied into it, and just basically the you got the cops over here, you got the feds over there, you got the prison guards. You know, doing their thing, the corrections officers, you got the gang members, you got Bloods, you got Crips,
The
you got
streets. Yep.
yeah, you got speed racing stuff, you got like the Aryan Brotherhood, boo, fuck that. But you got them, you got a lot of different factions, and like it kind of
Hmm.
boils down to, and I think it's a very I mean, I know it's drama, but I think it's a very like honest take on it and it pulls no
Oh,
punches.
I agree.
You gotta be in like a really good headspace to watch it. At least in my opinion, I
Hmm.
recommend being in a good headspace because like it's like the parts in a show that normally you think the camera would pull away, it doesn't. And you're just like,
Mm-mm.
oh, I'm gonna have to sit here and watch this happen. I'm gonna have to watch this go down in its entirety. Oh,
Yeah.
hell no. Um, but beautiful show, beautiful crime drama. Um,
I I'm only
with something to
5
say.
episodes in, and I'm having a blast with it. I had to take a break from it because I for some reason I had like a bajillion other things somehow took its spot. But I'm definitely
Yeah.
looking forward to jumping back into it because I loved it. I was having fun with it.
Now that's what's up. That's what's up. No, shout out to the crime dramas and anything that like is able to weave that in. I'm like Drado. I do like a good who done it. So that's why
Hmm.
Scream is my favorite horror movie franchise. Even though they're exhausting me with some of these sequels now. That's
Man,
okay.
man.
Talk for a different day. I like Scream for that reason. And I
Yeah.
do like you know, it's one of the reasons I think Daredevil as a series works so well because it has that crime
Hmm.
drama element to it you know, Echo as well. Like, so like I think, you know, it's just such a good like I think part of it is my brain doesn't know how to build one. Like I know the rules of
Mm.
like writing a mystery because you have to kind of give the audience the answer like up front.
Yeah.
But then you have to kind of obscure it and make them second guess and you know distract them. And I just like I don't know how to put one together. So I'm always it's one of the magic tricks that I'm always in awe of because I'm just like they did it
Yeah, yeah,
again.
yeah, yeah. What is it? What do they call them? Red herrings? Is that the term they use when
Red
they
herring, yeah, the
where they
set someone up to
set someone up to make it look and you thinking, well, that's too obvious. It can't be that person, but that was their intentions to try and throw you off. No, I love that stuff. I love that stuff. Which is the show that I'm watching. It was a lot of that this first season. The first season I watched.
Ooh. I'm gonna add that to the actual list. And like there is, unlike with some people, no, I'm just kidding. There isn't normally a list for me. But I
Mhm.
do write down recommendations my friends give me, friends and
Yeah,
family give me.
same.
So I am gonna take that one down, not mid podcast because I feel like I will derail the whole thing. Just like
This
one Li.
disclaimer, Phil was the one that put me on Warrior, and I've already finished it before him. I'm just saying.
Is what it is what in my defense since you're watching a lawyer show in my defense Warrior I watched on Max
That's
back
true.
when it was HBO Max and I watched
Mhm.
the first two seasons and I drink it like water but because
Yeah.
the you know you got pandemic and you got strikes and you got all that other stuff. Because of all of
Mhm.
that, we got a delayed season 3. And whenever that happens, it just I feel like I gotta start over and like, get
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
not the worst thing, but just like it definitely derails like the momentum. And
Mental, yeah.
I do want to remind everybody, just like I'm a big proponent of Mayor of Kingstown, check it out. They also got delayed because Jeremy Renner's injury
His
and
accident, yeah.
the strikes as well. But they're coming back, I think, in June for their season 3. So be on the lookout for that, y'all. And then
Mhm.
Warrior, even though its first 2 seasons were on Max, it got moved. It got a third season. My bad. It got 3 seasons, then got moved to Netflix. Um, and
Mhm.
the on Netflix, it's been kicking ass. Like it's been consistently in the top 10 most watched. So we're praying over here that
Fingers crossed.
they pull a Cobra Kai and give them
Fingers
a brand new
crossed.
season on Netflix. Give us season 4. I haven't
Please.
even seen
It's a
season 3.
really good show. I don't want it to end here. Please don't. But I do wanna give a shout out to Jeremy Renner because seeing him recover all the
Mm,
stuff he had to go through from his accident to where he is now, and he's back acting again. Shout out to him,
yes.
because
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know what could have happened if he couldn't come back to the show. I would hate to have. I don't think they would replace him. Like that wouldn't be smart. I don't think.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I'm glad he's
No.
able to come back and do the show for sure.
That is no, I'm glad you brought that up because that is a very stressful situation. Look,
Yeah.
I'm not pretending that I'm on like, his level as far as like where I'm at career wise or even talent wise, but I'm just saying that
Hmm.
like as an actor, to have an injury or illness uh take you down when
Hmm.
you're number one on the call sheet or you're top of the marquee for a theater. Um when you are literally the poster image and you get like, you get messed up and it's just like not only is just like what he had to go through horrific and traumatizing in and of itself, and I'm not taking away from that. Like
Hmm.
uh even once you start to recover, that pressure can, I'm not saying it did for him, but it can seep in to where it's like, well, I gotta get well, I gotta get well quick.
Yeah.
Hundreds of jobs are depending on whether or not I can pull through this.
Hmm.
Even when you get cleared to go back to work, it's like again, I don't want to spoil too much, but like
Hmm.
violence goes down in that show, and Jeremy Renner is doing a lot of the action stuff that is in the show, and
Hmm.
so you have to think about that. Like once you have an injury, you kind of have to a serious injury, you kind of have to nurse it for the rest of your life,
Yeah.
and you're just like, I mean, I'm recovering from surgery right now, and it's just like there are times where I'm like, all right, I think I can do this, and you feel a little something, and you're like, no, I don't want to mess this up, and all of that can be in your head while you're trying to lead this show as the lead actor. And shout out to him for real, yeah, because that takes guts, that takes commitment and fortitude of mind, and no, I'm so happy to see him up and about and doing his thing. Shout out to him for sure.
Hmm.
For
No, it's
sure.
definitely inspiring for sure. Makes me love doing this even more. Just seeing the dedication that people have for it, and I I know people that probably, because PTSD is a thing. Like they probably would rather be cautious and not risk and any other injuries, and would just probably stay at home or whatever. But then you got others that really love this and
Hmm.
have that dedication to see it through, especially when you're midway in something, or like I don't know if he was in the middle of filming or whatever happened, but I wouldn't want to let all those other people down. Like
Hmm.
I'm just in my mind thinking like, oh man, all these people that are quote unquote counting on me, or it's
Yeah.
still pulling for me, and hoping I'm okay and everything. But I don't want to. A part of me doesn't want to let them down, because I know this is something that they're working to, and people got jobs or kids to feed, and they got bills to pay. People need to work and yada yada, and so do I. So it's like, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff that just just rotating in the mind, just gears just going. But nah, shout out to Jeremy. Um, yeah, man. I definitely am glad that he's back, and I cannot wait to get back into the show. Absolutely.
No, no, absolutely, absolutely. Same. I'm really looking forward to that and whatever else he opts to do with his career. Because Jeremy Renner, for those who have not been paying attention, is just phenomenal. He really is. I think he's
Hmm.
under overlooked and underrated sometimes. But no, the man, I always believe him in whatever he's doing. So like that's what's up.
Hmm.
No, shout out to him for real. Um, I've definitely had experiences with theater where like I got hired for a thing and then uh, you know I got sick or whatever, and it's not
Hmm.
it's not an easy it's not an easy call to make. It's not a good feeling. So shout out to him.
Yeah.
But speaking of things that are tangentially related to Marvel, and because Jeremy Renner. And speaking of today's topic, which is animation, uh,
Hmm.
we have both been watching X-Men '97, but guess what? We're not going to talk
Woo!
about it today. We're not going to talk about it today.
Not
Sorry, y'all.
today, guys. Not
But
today.
we got a
Very soon.
whole
Very soon.
we got a whole ass thing coming for you dedicated just to that. So just
Yes.
be
Yes.
on the
Yes.
lookout.
Yes.
Be on the lookout
Yes.
for the episode retrospectives and reviews.
Hmm.
It's gonna be great.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, no, I guess that is my lazy segue into today's main topics. And because real talk, the original X-Men cartoon in '92 and Batman the Animated Series and Spider-Man and the Disney afternoon with like gargoyles and Darkwing Duck, like all of that stuff. Like I've been
Classics.
watching cartoons in on television and in movies, you know, my whole life. And
Hmm.
one of the things that made me want to be an actor, I tell people all the time, it's like two things. Like one of them was Boy Meets World. Just watching that, I was like, I want to do that.
One of my
Uh,
faves. Hmm.
and the other thing was animations, especially Batman the Animated Series, which also came out in '92.
Mm.
Like that
Hmm.
was one that had a profound effect on me and my desire to be a storyteller as an actor and be a creative performing artist. So that I know in America like animation gets kind of downplayed a little. Like we love it over here.
Yeah.
Disney is killing off of their animation department and Pixar and all that. Their various
Hmm.
animation departments. And animation is beloved here, but it isn't always respected or revered as like true cinema or whatever. And I think that
Mm.
that's there's a little bit of, I mean, they do win awards, the Academy and stuff recognizes animation, but I feel like there's a undercurrent within the zeitgeist that says, oh well, that's kid stuff. It's not, there's nothing, like it's not
Yeah.
serious, it's nothing to be like, there's nothing deep about it or whatever. And I'm just like
Hmm.
I'm just like
Man,
hell.
they clearly have not been watching anything because
Yeah, yeah,
when I tell you the feels I get just from watching like animated stuff, like,
yeah,
bro.
yeah, yeah,
Oh man.
is catharsis really. um but that kind of begs the question. I'm very much looking forward to hearing your thoughts, Drado. But when it comes to animation, when it comes to voice acting, like, do you think that stunt casting does anything? Does it matter? Because I've noticed in recent history and throughout my life, stunt
Hmm.
casting is something they have done um pretty consistently in the film side of the industry to
Yeah.
try and sort of like be like, guess what, this summer, you know Will Smith is, and like they try to go for the, like you should be excited because it's a big name, but
One that comes to mind is when you say Will Smith, one that comes to mind is Aladdin and him voicing playing Genie
oh
in that
yeah, in live action,
remake.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. And that's, stunt casting does exist in live action as well. And
Hmm.
I guess I kind of feel like for me, like in live action, nah, never mind. Fredo, what do you think?
Well, For me it depends on what it is.
Mm.
Like another example that you since you brought up Will Smith, he was promoting a video game, and I can't even tell you what the game was because it's a mobile game and I don't play those. But he's the face of the game. Like he's the main
Yeah, I
character,
remember
voicing the
this.
main character in the game, and obviously that's to sell the game. That's to get people to play it because it's Will Smith. So if it's Will Smith, that means hey, obviously we got to play this, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if people played it though.
Did it come out?
It came out last
It came
year.
it came out?
Again, it's a mobile game, so I don't know
Okay,
how
okay.
big the mobile game industry. I don't know how many like in comparison to console gamers, PC gamers. I don't know really how big mobile gaming is, because I'm not
That's fair.
personally involved in that world.
Me neither.
So it's possible that game probably did well in the mobile game community. I don't know.
Mm.
I'm just going by what I heard, and what I heard was nothing else about that game. I saw the
No,
one trailer,
100%.
that he dropped. I saw it on his Instagram because I follow him on Instagram, and then
Same.
I heard the game dropped, or and I saw Google, and it was like, yeah, the game's been out since last year. I heard nothing of it. Um,
That's yeah, that's
and
funny. I didn't even hear.
obviously when you get someone like that to be a part of this game, that's the reason why you wanted to sell, you wanted to gain the attention of other people, maybe even possibly get other gamers that aren't into mobile to come over and try it out. um because he's an actor, he's not a gamer, so maybe you can get a whole different genre of people over here, possibly.
Makes
I don't know if that was effective for them, I don't know if it was worth it. um but they did it, and whatever money they lost or won or gained or whatever, then that's what they got. For me it depends, because then you have stuff like, for example, you have the show. I don't know if you ever watched this show called Neo Yokio on Netflix, starring
Yes, I did.
which is another Smith, Jaden Smith. But I was for some reason that show
Shout
just
out to
popped in
the
my
Smith
head,
family.
where I knew nothing. I heard nothing of that show. I didn't even know it was a thing. I was just on Netflix one day randomly, and I was like, "What's this?" It because it didn't pop up on my top, my top Netflix stuff. It was just a show I saw in passing, and I saw it was Jaden Smith voicing the character. When I watched that show, I loved that show. I was like, "This show
Same.
is amazing."
Absolutely. No, I'm so happy you brought up that specific show
It's
because
such a good
no
show.
one talks about it. And
At all.
I honestly had forgotten about it till just now when you said that. But
It's
like,
such a good show. I love it. The
the,
giant Toblerone, like it's such a good show.
yes, the thing. Here's the thing for me, and it's a great example to bring up because like obviously, yeah, Jaden Smith has a following. He makes
Mhm.
music. He's an actor.
Yep.
Like he especially with the younger crowd. Like he who he is and what he's about, and
Mhm.
people are drawn to him. My thing with that was I don't think that's what made me watch it. I think
No,
the
no,
the
not at
the
all.
main the main thing. I mean, yes, the trailer and the premise and like the setup was just cool. But I think the number
Mhm.
one thing that made me watch it was like, holy shit, is this an anime style thing with a black character in the
Yes.
lead?
That's what
Like,
it was.
show up, turn up, let's do this
That's what it was.
immediately. Immediately, he's got pink hair and shit. Like, let's
Yep.
go, let's fucking go. Because I just anime has come a long way since I was, a young one, a young
Mhm.
buck or whatever. But like,
Yeah.
even to this day, you don't get too many main characters who are black.
Black
Now,
and
that's a conversation for another podcast, and it's in and
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
itself. But it kind of relates to what we're talking about today because it's
Yeah,
just like
absolutely.
representation and all of that comes into
Mhm.
play. But yeah, I just think it's interesting because I think that Neo Yokio, I don't know if it. I mean, it got at least two seasons, right? Like it did more than one.
Um,
It had like a movie follow up to or a Christmas special or
yeah,
something.
it had a Christmas special. I remember that.
Yeah, forget how many seasons it had, one or two, but like,
I'm fact checking.
thank you, because I will get that shit wrong all day. But like, I think what's fascinating about that example in particular is because, hey, I don't think it did like, I don't think it had killer success. I think it was successful enough to be like remembered and recognized
Mhm.
by like a cult following. But like I don't know that having a big name did
It had
did them any favors.
one season and one Christmas special,
Ah, okay, thank you. Thank you. I'm
and
about
the
to get
one season was only 6 episodes.
oh,
It
even
was a
more reason to
really
love
short
it.
watch.
Even more reason to love it. I love that
Really
about
short watch.
God, what was that? I'm losing. What was that other anime that was like super short? They made sequels eventually, but like it was like this alien chick with a guitar and this little boy and like it's on the tip of my tongue.
Oh,
Somebody's gonna be
you think
yelling at me on YouTube right now. um ah Fully Cooley?
Fooly
Uh
Cooley,
there we go,
yes, yes,
yes.
yes, yes,
I
Fooly
know
Cooley.
they came back and did more and whatever, but like I
Mhm.
love the fact that the original run was 6 episodes in and out and
Shout out
just
to Fooly Cooley. It's been a while since I've seen that one.
amazing animation,
Mhm.
hilarious and wild and off the wall, but also like touching and like profound. Like,
Yeah.
so I thought it was really, really good they did that. So like, no, I mean, Neo Yokio, like I think that's a great example of just, yeah, like I don't think that was what was working in their favor. I'm not saying famous people
Right.
shouldn't take on roles in animation. I mean, like,
Mhm.
because you see the other side of it with like say Miyazaki films. Those are when they bring those to America, they get star-studded casts
Mhm. It's
for
true.
Hayao Miyazaki's work. You know, and yeah, I do think on the flip side, because I think my initial argument for this was like, no, I don't think it matters, but sometimes I think it does do something if it's a bit if the concept or the thing like you were saying kind of is a bit foreign to you, if like the Will
Mhm.
Smith bringing people into video games, which video games are definitely a part of the voice acting conversation as well. I actually forgot to put that on the schedule, but like yes,
Yeah.
I do think there are times where having a recognizable name or whatever can get some people to go like, well, I like this person. Why are they doing this? This is not something I would normally watch or
Mhm.
interact with or be a part of. Maybe I'll find out more. And I do think there is something to that. I enjoyed the fact that Howl's Moving Castle has Christian Bale as the title character, and has a
Mm.
great star-studded cast with like Billy Crystal and so forth and so on. But like,
Mhm.
I also don't know if I needed it. Like I
Yeah.
definitely do think it was a draw because I was a huge Christian Bale fan and still am. At that time,
Mhm.
though, like was kind of like around the height of it, in Batman and a lot of different stuff I had seen him do. And I was just sort of like, oh, this is now cooler because Christian Bale is like this young, adorable looking, like handsome anime character, like, and I'm just like, I would not expect Christian Bale to do that. He's done a bunch of work with Miyazaki, or at least
Yeah.
multiple
It's
projects,
it's
and
true.
I'm just like, it did add something. I will say that it added something, but I think you could see a million examples of say like the opposite. Since we're on the Smith family, which is probably my fault, I wanted to say that there are cases where you can clearly see that I think at the end of the day, like people are more, or at least I'm more swayed by, sort of the storytelling. I think
Mhm.
it doesn't really fucking matter. I think at the end of the day, like you may get uh X amount of extra seats filled because Jack Black is, or Tom Holland is, or like whatever. But like I do think that at its core, as in the immortal words of Pharrell, I'm going to paraphrase, but if it's good, the kids will sniff it out. Like
Yeah,
you don't have to
absolutely.
do anything. If it's good, the kids will always know, they'll sniff it out. And like I think that's true of audiences in general. And I think that like when I look at something like, you know, Finding Nemo versus Shark Tale, I'm not
Mm.
saying Shark Tale isn't good, but I'm saying that like I to this day have never seen a complete like watch of Shark Tale, but like Finding
Ah,
Nemo,
interesting,
like I've
interesting.
never seen it from beginning to end. But Finding Nemo, I've watched a bunch, and I'm not trying to say that, Pixar is innately better. I'm just saying that, like, when you look at it, Shark Tale leaned heavily on not only having the names and the voices, but the
Yeah,
likenesses.
the
Like that, the
likenesses,
fish looks like Will Smith.
look
The
just like
fish
Will Smith.
looks like Angelina Jolie.
Yeah,
Like they wanted you
yep,
to know we got that top talent in here, those movie
yep.
stars. And I'm sure and I do believe they did a good job from the things I've seen. I do think they were great in those roles. But like I think at the end of the day, there's something about Finding Nemo that just spoke to me on a story level. And I was looking at the cast earlier because I just wanted to like be sure. But like when I look at the
I
cast for
had both
Finding
on
Nemo,
DVD back in the day, Shark Tale and Finding Nemo.
hey, shout out to this dude hanging out under the sea where the good shit happens.
Mhm.
But like I don't like Nemo himself, who I get was a child actor. Alexander
Yeah.
Gold, I don't know him.
Mm-mm.
I know Albert Brooks, who played Marlin, his dad, but like he's not like he's important in the Hollywood story, but like he's not like
Mhm.
a big like universal name or whatever. Ellen
Mhm.
DeGeneres is in it, as Dory as a main character, and Willem Dafoe is in it. But like everyone else that I'm seeing here, like even the people who I do recognize, it's not like they're not like A-list star power.
Yeah.
They're exceptional talents. Don't get me wrong. I love Eric Bana, I love Brad Garrett, Stephen Root, John Ratzenberger. Like I love these actors, but like, they're not the internationally known, kind of Tom Cruise level, like, people.
Exactly.
And
Like Shark
so
Tale with Will Smith, with Angelina, like you said, Jack Black was in it,
yeah,
etc.
yeah.
Yeah. Robert De Niro. Yep.
And for some reason, when it came to, not that it has to be a competition, it's just funny that it kept happening. But when it came to Bugs Life versus Ants and
Ants.
like
Yep.
Finding Nemo versus Shark Tale, Pixar tended to be the more talked about ones
Yeah.
in those conversations. And I've seen Ants. Ants
I
is
have to.
good.
Yeah. It's a
Ants
good
is
movie.
good. Stallone and Woody Allen and whatnot. But like
Mhm.
again, it just sort of a Bug's Life,
A
even though
Bug's Life is way more memorable for me.
yeah.
Especially the bloopers. I remember the bloopers like like more than anything.
Dog, dog, the
I'm a
bloopers,
beautiful
yes.
butterfly.
The fact that Pixar was willing to put bloopers, they had to animate something extra
Dog, the
to make
bloopers were
bloopers.
my favorites. Like they did that with Buzz Life. Toy Story has some great bloopers. Like, bro, shout out to
Yes,
Pixar.
yes. And so I feel like Pixar always has this like multi-tiered approach where they're like, okay, yeah, Tom Hanks is Woody,
Yeah,
and we do have Tim Allen, as Buzz Lightyear, but like if you look at the whole cast, it's a little bit more ensemble, and people are at different
yeah.
kind of like levels of notoriety, and it
Hmm.
seems like that's intentional in the sense that like it's not really about that. It's about finding the right qualities for the character and the story that we're trying to tell, and to drive that point home. And I'm not picking on this movie because I haven't seen it yet, but Pixar does have, Chris Evans as Lightyear, and Buzz Lightyear in the movie Lightyear. And I
The
don't have a
cop. No, I'm
strong
just playing.
I
A
don't
lot of people
have
were. It was a lot of memes going around saying he looked like a police officer.
oh no. No, I can see. I mean, Buzz Lightyear is definitely the ops. Let's be real. Like he's with Star Command. Um, and like I think that movie had a couple of things going against it. Famously, like people are like, "Where's Tim Allen?" And it's just like, well, we're doing
Yeah,
younger
yeah.
Buzz, and we're also doing a Buzz that the action figure was based off of, so it's not really the same guy, and people couldn't get past that. But like, also, Chris Evans is, having a great career right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Coming off of the decade over the decade of Marvel and
Captain
other stuff he's been doing.
America. Yeah.
Like he has a phenomenal career, and he's a very recognizable guy. Like if you're Captain America in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like you can't go anywhere. Everyone knows who you are. Um,
Mhm.
and I think Pixar, kind of leaned into that a little bit, and that movie didn't do well. I'm not saying it's not good. I'm just because I haven't seen it. I'm just saying, like, I don't think the star power is the key factor. Um,
And I think it also came out during the I want to say it was during the pandemic time. So it was
fair,
like
fair.
I think it had like a limited time in theaters and then it went straight to Disney Plus. So yeah, it probably didn't do well in theaters. The movie itself was good. It was a good
Okay,
film. Only because um the story was not what I was expecting. I thought it
okay,
was just
cool.
gonna be what I already knew from the Toy Stories version of Buzz, but it wasn't.
Mhm.
So I enjoyed that aspect of it personally.
That's what's up. And I love hearing
Yeah.
that. I love that they took a swing. They took a chance, and
Hmm.
maybe that's maybe that's why they did want to ensure some more star power in the main cast. You got Chris Evans, you got Taika Waititi, you got Kiki Palmer, you got
Yep.
Josh Brolin, Thanos himself, and Cable if
Yep.
you want to go that route. You've got Bill Hader. You've got a lot of pretty
Hmm.
recognizable talents. But once again, they to be fair, they do have a lot of people in here that I'm just like I don't know them by
Yeah.
name. Holy,
So it's like I get it with stunt casting and having that one person to draw in people because like you said,
yeah.
Chris Evans was popping during that time. He was in a lot of stuff. Another show that I want to give that I want to put on a radar as an example is another anime Netflix show, Yasuke, which
Mm.
is starring Lakeith Stanfield. He's a
Ooh, yeah.
he's a it's an anime. He's a black samurai, I believe, in the show, and I did watch it. It wasn't my cup of tea,
Okay.
and I only watched it because of Lakeith. That was the only
Fair.
reason why. Otherwise, I probably would not have checked it out. I probably just would have been, something I add to my list and probably check out when I get a chance to. But it wasn't something I was running to until I heard, oh, Lakeith is a part of this. Oh, he's the voice of the main character. Oh, it's an anime, and he's okay. Let me check this out. And then I watched it, and it's really tough for me when you have actors who voice characters with their voice that they use for all other roles. So it's like I
Mm.
can't really hear anybody but Lakeith.
Sure, sure.
I have that issue with Chris Pratt sometimes.
Mhm.
I
Word.
have that issue Aquafina when she does her roles. Um, there's a couple of other people that I just can't
Interesting.
I can't hear the character that you're playing. I just hear you as the
Yeah,
actor
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
I've seen you in other things that aren't animated or voiceover work. So
Right, right.
for Yasuke, it was one of those things where obviously Lakeith was very much popping during that time. I think he had just come off I want to say what was that movie? It was oh god, shoot, it was with him and my man's from I'm doing terrible with names right now.
No, 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 it happens, happens.
Jesus Christ.
He's been doing so much lately. Like, I know
It
that I know he
it
was
was
in biblical movie, a biblical kind of parody, kind of.
yeah,
Uh,
this one was
Last thing I really saw him in was Sorry to Bother You, which I love, which I know we were talking about recently.
it was during the time when he was doing Knives Out,
Ooh,
The
Knives Out.
Photograph, and
Yeah.
then Judas and the Black Messiah. And back to back, those movies came out. So during
No,
that
that's
run,
that's a
he
hit
he
list.
was
Yeah.
he was the most like sought out, and also Uncut Gems also came out with Adam Sandler. He was in that too. So he was
Word.
like really popping during that time. So it makes sense to keep him in the limelight, get him involved in as many projects as he wanted to. I know he had that issue with Death Note that everybody hated that film, and
Right,
he
right, right.
did the best he could with L.
Yeah, yeah.
And the person that got the most the most hate was Light, and whichever Wolf brother that was, I don't remember. I think it was like Nate Wolf or Alex Wolf, whichever Wolf that was, the actor. But um yeah,
No, Lakeith is
the
dope.
show itself was not my cup of tea, and I was only drawn to it because I watch everything that Keith is in. I've seen everything that he's been in so far, and it was unfortunate that it wasn't good for me personally.
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
But it didn't help the show be good because he was casted in it though.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess there's that double-edged sword to it, where it can get some extra asses in the seats. Cause
Yeah,
yeah, there are
yeah,
definitely
for
some
sure.
things that I'm just like, oh, I'll check that out because I really like that actor and they're doing this thing and this seems cool. Uh
Mhm.
if it but I feel like in those cases, in most of the cases I can think of where I'm just like, I'm really watching it because I just really like so and so. Uh
Yeah.
it doesn't say as much about the story or at least their ability to market it. Um,
Mhm.
because when I look at something like no, I was about to name all right, I was about to name an older movie called Bolt, which had John Travolta as the
Hey, I
title
remember
character
Bolt.
dog, and
Yeah.
Miley Cyrus
Mhm.
was like his owner. But like
Mhm.
as much as I am charmed by John Travolta, I love his acting work. That was just icing on the cake. Really, I'm a dog owner. I was a dog
Yeah.
owner at least at the time, and like the idea that a dog doesn't know he's not a real superhero, he's just doing stunts is
Mhm.
it sold me. Like so the concept got me. So again, I will stand by what I said. I think it's always the story, and I think if it is good, like Pharrell said, the kids will sniff it out, and it may not
Mhm.
be a hit right away, but if it's truly good, like one person's going to talk to their buddy about it and it's going to find its way around. um
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
so I
Absolutely.
feel like I understand why stunt casting happens, and I'm not mad at those actors making that money, and I'm not mad at those studios for wanting to ensure their investment. But I
Mhm.
just think that unfortunately sometimes the stunt casting gets in the way of an opportunity for a better fit for a voice actor to step in and increase the connection between that character and the audience. Like you were kind of like what you were
Yeah.
saying about with Lakeith. You love Lakeith as an actor, but like you know, he lacked a certain something for you as a voice actor that would have brought
Mm.
you in a little bit more. And
Mhm.
and I feel like that's where it gets dicey and kind of controversial. Is like, all right, did you have to get Kevin Hart for this? Did you have to get Chris Pratt for this? And I enjoyed them,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed them, and I'm
Same,
not
same,
saying don't
same.
hire them and don't they shouldn't be working. I'm just saying like I it just sometimes it has the opposite effect where like I have seen enough of Kevin Hart and The Rock do their thing together that I'm like, anytime I find out they're the ones that got cast,
Man,
like super pets or whatever,
super pets.
I'm like, I don't want to turn into a hater here, but I'm just like, I'm good. I've had my fill
Yeah.
on their
'Cause
specific chemistry for a little
that's
bit.
honestly the only thing that they could bring someone to watch Super Pets is because The Rock and Kevin Hart are in it.
Right,
Nobody is looking
right.
for this film.
Exactly.
Nobody asked for that film.
Which is so funny because I love again dog owner. I love crypto.
Yeah.
I love the concept. Ace I mostly like in Batman Beyond, but I will say that Ace is fine, but crypto is
Mhm.
is a beloved comic book character for me. But like, so they didn't have to work so hard. But the premise of the movie of like, hey, the superheroes are gone. What do these pets do? I'm like, that's boring.
Mhm.
And then on top of it, to be like, hey, here's these actors who are already in everything doing the thing again. Come see it.
Again,
I'm like, nah,
for
I'm
the
good.
umpteenth time.
I'm good. But nah, it's it just fascinates me that stunt casting happens so much. But you did bring up something that
Yeah.
I did want to segue into also is that different qualities in voice actors, that we really enjoy, like that we really think is a draw for us.
Mhm.
Um, and you touched on the idea of like, well, this is just your always voice, and I'm not it's just it's taking me out of it and just making me think of you instead of this character. So
And it could just be me because I know other like I hear the voices of other people, but they do it so well to I don't even like pay attention to it. Whereas like other actors, it's
mm,
like for example, the Aquafina one, she's been in a lot of uh uh animated voice acted stuff. She was in Raya and the Dragon. She was in was it Migration? Some movie.
Oh,
She was in a
okay.
couple things. And you know,
What about Ryan
I've
and the Dragon?
obviously seen her in Shang-Chi. I've seen her in uh um was it Quiz Lady or something like that. I've seen her in a bunch of stuff. Whereas like I only hear her because she has a very
Mm,
distinct
yeah, she
voice.
does. She does.
It's very distinct. It's like a raspy, kind of deeper voice that I've always, oh, that's Aquafina. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can just point that out. So with her, it's a little different. Because it is what it is. But with people, like I'm trying to think of somebody that I heard that I've, witnessed in either something animated or video game, something where I didn't even notice it was them.
Yes, Quiz Lady, by the
Uh
way, you were correct. Quiz Lady is
yeah,
her name.
Quiz Lady. Yep, yep, yep. Damn. Oh, a good one for me is Shamik Moore because I was rewatching Across the Spider Verse.
Mm,
I've seen him in a lot of stuff. I've seen him in Dope. I've seen him in Wu
yes.
Tang Clan series, which is a really good show. If anybody is
Ooh,
into Wu Tang Clan,
I
they
might
have
need
a
to check
full
that out
series.
then.
Really good show. Yeah, I've seen him in a couple of things, and I watching any of the Spider Verse films, I couldn't even sit. I wouldn't even know. Like
No, it's
honestly, he does
true.
such a great job playing Miles. Like I would never even know him, bro.
I don't even think about it. I don't. Until it's like, review time or award season or whatever when people are talking
Mhm.
about the movie and it's like, or I'm seeing interviews. I'm like, oh yeah. Shamik Moore I'm just so drawn into the character,
Same.
and the story. So like, no, I think that's a good point because I think that a lot of people experience that. I know that I don't know when slash if it'll go to air, but we did talk about this a little bit when we were talking about some trailers and Garfield came up and Chris Pratt came up.
Mm.
And like that
Mhm.
was a case of like he's not like doing a horrible job by any means, but like it does take me out a little bit that I'm just like, it's Chris
Yeah.
Pratt is Garfield. Garfield is Chris Pratt is what it is. And like,
Yeah.
and I don't, again, cool. And also I will admit that I had a bias because every other Garfield voice before that had a very similar, distinct, kind of like a very similar vibe. There's a certain
Mhm.
delivery that people have come to expect, or people my age have come to expect from Garfield, and Chris Pratt's not doing that. And I'm like, all right, that's all right. Like it's different.
Mhm.
Um, but I did want to touch on like the fact that I like, I like different styles and different approaches to voice acting. And I think what it comes down to really is understanding the technique and or having really great help and direction getting into that, because some of my favorite voice actors over the years did not start in voice acting. They
Mhm.
came from either like theater or they came from TV.
Yeah.
And I think of Batman Beyond as a great example. Since we started talking about Batman the animated series, like Batman Beyond, Will Friedle is one of those actors that, in my opinion, his vocal range, his voice doesn't change too much. He pitches it up and down,
Mhm.
but like whether he's Ron Stoppable or Terry McGinnis
No,
or
he's good.
like or wherever, like I can always tell it's him.
Mhm.
However, the conviction he has, the understanding of the character he has, just like the connection he has with when he's playing those characters, I'm like, yeah, his voice doesn't change dramatically, but damn, is a hell of a voice actor. You know what I mean? And I feel like
Mhm.
both types exist, and I feel like there's a little bit of thing where like this kind of allure to the people who can be absolute chameleons, and it happens in live action
Mm.
too. Like people
Oh,
love,
absolutely.
the Daniel Day Lewis's of the world and whatnot,
Mhm.
and I do too. I think that's great. I think it's great when an actor can transform every time you see them. I don't know, homie that played Elvis recently and is in Dune 2.
Yes,
Um,
he's also he's in Dune and now, what's his name?
I'd be fucking up.
I haven't
But
seen. Elvis yet, but
We out here. I haven't either. We out here talking about actors, and I'm just like, I don't know any of
my
their
bad.
names right
I
now.
got Austin Butler.
Austin
Austin Butler
Butler,
is his name.
another
Yeah,
example of a dude that like takes chances, and like every time you turn around, he looks, sounds, walks, talks completely different. And I'm
it's
like that.
completely different. Yeah.
That's fucking dope, and I think that should be lauded. But I think there's become sort of a obsession with that being the holy grail of acting, and in my opinion, no, that's not. What matters most about acting, what I always strive for myself, but like what inspires me about actors is every time I see you, I believe you. That's what matters the
Mm.
most. So like even if so whether you are a Daniel Day-Lewis who completely transforms every time, or whether you're more of a Harrison Ford who is kind of
Mhm.
Harrison Ford every time, but he knows what the fuck he's doing, and he
Yeah,
brings
for
life to those characters that like you I absolutely am like, yeah, I this guy exists. I've
whether
met
it's
this
Star
guy.
Wars or Indiana Jones, it's he plays those characters for that specific series. He doesn't like
Yes.
blend any of his nothing. It's like he's playing this character, he's playing
Yes.
this character in that franchise. Yes, yes,
So
yes.
I
I
feel
agree.
like even with voice acting, just like with live action, you can have a similar quality or approach each time, but like if you bring the textures of a different character, like I said with Will Friedle, where he's Ron Stoppable and Terry McGinnis are nothing alike. I can tell both for him that they're nothing alike. And I love that. And like another great example would be Keith David. Keith
Oh,
David
love Keith David.
has
Love Keith David,
the
bro.
the greatest voice of all time
Just
is
I
a
love
voice.
watching him in anything. Like if it's Keith
Yes.
David in it, I'm like, oh, because like you said, his voice is he's one of those actors where I'm so envious of his voice. He has that perfect
Mm,
and even though I know it's Keith David, he still is similar to what Harrison Ford does. He's still playing that character from freaking gargoyles
yes.
to I was literally just watching him in Community, and Community is more of a it's a comedy show. It's
Yeah.
like straight comedy, and he is funny and still has that wonderful ass voice. It's like, bro,
Yes.
I love it. I
It's
love it.
his voice. And again, I imagine I haven't done the research. I imagine he has some theater training. Whatever. He's an amazing
Man,
actor. That's what
he's
matters.
amazing.
And like so when you combine understanding your instrument, right? And having a great
Mhm.
instrument with the psychological, with the conviction, with the putting the soul into the character,
Mhm.
the characters feel different even though I know it's the same cat every time. And
Yep.
I think that that's what matters, that little bit of texture. And don't get me wrong, I love Phil Lamar, I love Tara Strong, I love the late great Mel Blanc. They transform into all types of characters. They have a wide range where it's just like sometimes yeah I can kind of tell it's them, but most of the time it's just sort of like you look at Tara Strong and it's like how do you connect Bubbles to Raven from Teen Titans? You can't.
So good. So
she, she just
good.
disappears into these roles. Um,
Man, does a
uh,
great job.
Again,
I
shout
do
out to
wanna
Batman the Animated Series because she was Batgirl, and that's basically just her voice. But she almost never uses her voice.
ever,
Um,
ever. But I do
so
wanna say, Keith David does have theater, experience. That's what he first initially started doing was theater
that's what it
back in
felt like.
1979. So, yeah.
Holy shit! No, you can just feel it sometimes. I didn't do the research, but you could just kind of feel it come off somebody when they
Absolutely.
trained that way. But
He was in a lot of my favorite video games too that I was playing because I was playing a lot of Halo. I
mhm,
was playing Call of Duty, and I'd be like, "Is that Keith David?" And I'll look it up. I'm like, "That is Keith David. What are you doing in this game?"
like that is again the perfect mixture of like having a fucking cool voice, but also doing the
Hmm.
training to hone it and make it
Man,
do the things everybody wants it to
ah,
do. It's
so
just like,
wonderful,
man, dude. Like, I
so
can't
wonderful.
imagine Keith David listening to himself on recording and being like, I hate the sound of my voice. If I find out he can't stand the sound of his voice, I would like just die. I would just be like, this is impossible. Like, I hear
Hmm.
myself on recording, I'm like, well, you know, it's what it is. But like, I listen to him and I'm just like, dude, he's there with Jackie Chan, where like, if he was just reading the phone book, I'd tune in. I'd tune in every time. Some
No,
people are just
facts.
interesting. Some people are just
I
interesting,
agree. I agree. No,
engaging.
he's super engaged and super interesting. I love his voice. He's definitely one of my favorites when it comes to voice acting. I know for me, I base it off of range and versatility. Like he has great range, for example. Even though he has that specific voice that you can hear,
Mhm.
the range he has with the emotion of the character is always different with each role that he plays.
Yeah.
Um, Another person that I love that does that well is Johnny Young Bosch as well. He also the range in his voice, just hearing him in all my
Mhm.
favorites, from freaking Ichigo and Bleach to Vash to Stampede, who are two completely different characters and they sound completely different in their English dubbed.
Bro.
Like the talent in that, just the versatility to be able to go from this Vash the Stampede character to this Ichigo Soul Reaper character, two different genres of anime, two different whatever.
Bro.
And then he also plays Lelouch in like, one of my favorite other animes to freaking what's the other one he's in? Shoot.
Dude. Dude.
Blue Exorcist.
Blue
Yukio. He's also
Exorcist.
Yukio. He's Yukio in Blue Exorcist.
Dude.
English dub, dog. Just I love hearing these characters, and it just so happens they're all main leads. Like shout out to him. Like they
Yeah,
just
no, he
happen to be
got it
all main
like that.
leads. He's that talented, and shout out to him. Whereas you got someone like Phil Lamar who doesn't always do main leads, but he does a mixture of main leads to just additional voices to something. It could just be like something or one line in part of like whatever. Like he was literally in Invincible. I was just watching the most recent season, and
Ah.
he voices one character, and that character, no spoilers, but something happens, and it's only for one episode. So um
Yeah,
just the range and being able to like portray these characters for that specific project,
bro,
for that specific whatever, and
bro.
then go on to do this other thing that's not even that genre or not even that. So it's just I love witnessing that. I
No,
love it. I
that's a
love it.
great point, and I didn't get it to throw it in there because I wanted to make sure. It's been some years that since I've seen it, but I wanted to get the name right. But he is Renton in Eureka 7. And if y'all have never seen Eureka
Oh
7,
wow.
he plays a boy. He
Wow. I
is a like
forgot about that.
prepubescent, maybe teenage boy, and like the
Yeah.
voice he gives him, like it's so innocent and so sweet, and like you could have fooled me. Like you could have told me they hired a child actor, and I would have been like, oh,
Wow.
they nailed it, they nailed it. But Johnny Young Bosch, like out here playing adults and children.
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't even know that. That's crazy.
No, that was one of my older brother Ray and I. That was one of our favorites in the sort of Toonami to Adult Swim lineup back in the day.
Mhm.
And Eureka
Mhm.
7, like just a phenomenal anime. I need to finish it because I never finished the actual full story, but like it just hits you in the feels. And like the animation was beautiful because a lot of it takes place in like the air because they do a lot of this kind of sky surfing shit.
Mhm.
And it's all coming full circle because Disney Afternoon had Tailspin and Cloud Kicker was doing similar shit on a lower
It was
scale.
something I don't know. I was also into that for some reason, like the whole sky surfing, air surfing thing. It was like a
Yeah.
trend or something where I thought it was cool as hell. I was like, this is
Same,
it's different. It was like, okay, this I
bro.
think at one because I was drawing a lot. I think at one point I was drawing characters that were like doing that specific
I would
sport,
love to
just
see
gliding
that.
in the air.
No, it's just such a dope way to get around. Like, I
Yeah.
mean that is like like at least I don't know. That is at least I would say 40% of the cool factor with Silver Surfer, right? Like, yeah,
Mhm.
he's got the power
Mhm.
cosmic and he's got this completely metallic
That
body and he looks cool, but that
cool
surfboard
ass
just like
board. He
just
don't
that
even need
lead. Yeah.
it.
Just fucking surfing the universe because he can.
Cause he
Just
can.
stunting on everybody.
Man. Speaking of Toonami though, Peter Collins is another one whose voice that I just love hearing. Just hearing him
Yeah.
as the Toonami you know, what do you call them? Like
It
ads or
oh, yeah, yeah, the ads,
whatever you call
yeah.
them, just the commercials, the ad, whatever you call them. Like just hearing him voice just like uh Dragon Ball Z or whatever. Just hearing he had like a great voice. I
That
just from
makes perfect sense.
man,
I didn't know it was him
I loved
because
it.
I mean, shout out to Optimus Prime, OG, and still
Yes.
doing it,
Yes,
still
yes, yes.
doing it
Still
at this
doing it.
age.
Mhm.
Uh, he's up there and he's still doing it. But like now that you've said that, I'm like, oh yeah, of course it's him. They had a lot of really
Yeah.
dope voice actors coming through doing stuff. Like, Tom
Yep.
had been played by both um oh my god, I'm so embarrassed right now. But like it's gonna come to me. Basically Sunny Straight is I know was the was I even Sunny Straight was one of them. Sunny Straight, who voiced Krillin on Dragon Ball Z, was one of the
Oh,
Toonami
yeah,
Toms.
yeah.
But
Yep.
then
Okay.
also homie who is Sub Zero and
Steven Bloom.
yes,
Steven,
thank you. Thank
yep, yep.
you. Yes, he was
Mhm.
also Tom on Toonami. They both killed it. And so they
Yeah, they
always
did.
had the coldest ads. Like they hyped you up. They inspired me on some level. I'm just
It's
like,
true.
why do I feel so much for this Toonami ad right now? But it is what it is.
Toonami was going crazy. It was going crazy. And it wasn't even like Toonami wasn't even like the main attraction. It was the animes that they were showing, but Toonami still had those fun segments of just Tom and his ship, just giving us this
Man.
wonderful voice acting skills and just having adventures of his own from
It
from the time he started to his passing and then coming back and then passing again, then coming back. It's like
it just
that's like a
it hit
whole
different.
story itself. It's dope.
It hit it
I
it
love
hit
it.
it hit a certain way. But yeah, no, I mean, shout out. I think you got a good point that there are different types of range.
Hmm.
There's vocal range, which I think some people who are uninitiated to voice acting get stuck on. I mean, I think a lot of people
Mm.
who aspire to be voice actors think like I could do all these voices. And I'm like, that's cool, but the key
Mhm.
word in voice acting is acting. Um,
Acting, yep.
so like always I recommend to anybody who's interested in voice acting. I've only done a little bit. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm some old pro, but always with voice
Mhm.
acting, because I study voice actors and I've met voice actors and I talk to them and I pick their brains, like they all say the same thing. Like doing a million voices is cute, but it gets real old if you can't actually act and emote and
Yes.
reach the places that the audience needs you to reach. So become an actor first. And that's why I wanted to bring up both examples, because like to your point, there is vocal range, which is incredible when you pair it with acting range. But if
Acting,
you
yeah.
if you're only gonna have one or the other, the acting range is the thing to have. Because like you
Mhm.
said, those actors who like voices we can always pick out, but they hit
Mhm.
different. They hit different every performance. And it's like that's what it is. That's what pulls me
And that's
into a
why they
story.
get the roles. Like, that's why Chris Pratt is still, getting all these animated
Yeah.
roles. That's why you have, fucking, I don't know, I'm trying to think of somebody, but yeah, he's the main example. Samuel L. Jackson, he's another one who
Yeah.
gets a ton of voice acting roles, and
I mean,
he's been the same as the same voice
lectures
and
and
everything,
course,
but he
yeah.
still kills it every single time. Like, he
Yeah.
still gives it his all.
Everyone
Like,
loves
yeah,
Frozone. Everyone loves and
everybody
quotes
does.
Frozone. And it's because
It's
of
true.
who's behind the voice. All right. Like
Yep,
they knew
it's true.
exactly what they were doing with that. So no, shout out to
Where is my super
Super
suit?
Suit. Where's my suit? Where's my suit, woman? That shit was great. But no, I mean, I think that it just comes back to, are you able to engage people? Are you able to like pull people in with like
Mhm.
the gravity of your performance? And
Yeah.
that'll always be the most important thing, whether you're famous, not famous, whether you can change your voice to a million voices or only do the one. Like,
Mhm.
I think that's the key, really. And
I agree.
shout out to voice actors wherever you are on the spectrum. It's a tough gig,
Yes.
not an easy thing to get into.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. It's a fun experience though.
Mm-hmm.
Just learning, just like you, I'm just like dipping my toe into it, and I've been having a blast just learning. Just auditioning for roles, trying different ways to voice characters. Because I do have the acting experience before it. I took acting classes and stuff like that, so it helps when I'm portraying these characters. And I've been, thankful enough to get some of these roles that I've been auditioning for, and I've been having a blast, learning as I go. And thankfully I'm able to, while I'm doing the whatever job I get, I'm able to, you know uh challenge myself and kind of practice as I'm doing it, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
No,
And just kind of,
absolutely.
keep getting better and better. So I'm having a good time. It's challenging, but it's a lot of fun once you get into it for sure.
I love hearing that, Drado, because like honestly, you're 100% right. My dad always told me he worked in business marketing for 25 years,
Hmm.
and he told me, son, you you go to school to learn how to learn. You learn your job
Mm.
on the job. And I think it's true. The most important thing you can do when you aspire towards anything is to do the actual thing. Because like you can think
Hmm.
about the thing a lot, you can analyze the thing a lot, you can hope and dream of the thing a lot, but it's the doing that turns you into that profession, that passion, that whatever it is for you that you're trying to accomplish and get in
Yeah.
touch with. Like it's the doing that sharpens you and sort of chisels you into your version of it, your version of that art,
Hmm.
or your version of that skill, or whatever it is. I don't care if you
Hmm.
play video games or act or make music, or you're a carpenter or a doctor or a lawyer, like whatever you're doing in life. I don't care if your goal is to like be able to pick up dates, like whatever you're doing in your life, like the
Yep.
more you actually do the thing, the better you get at it, and
Better
it's
you'll get at it.
and you gotta be willing to suck and put that time in and effort in,
Yeah.
and you also have to let go of like trying to control the ultimate results. It's just sort of like when you
Yes.
love the thing, when you just have the passion, it's all about the journey. It's all about process. It's
Hmm.
like I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to like even, and don't get me wrong, y'all, it's not every day that I feel this way. Is a work in progress, but I'm getting to the point where I'm even seeing the bullshit that pops up in life that gets in the way of the things I want to do. I've started to reframe those as part of the journey towards the thing I want to do.
Mm.
And that actually motivates me a little bit more. Not just motivates me, because I think I'm getting on a little side tangent, y'all. Sorry, but like there's a little thing that people talk about where like motivation versus discipline. And I think both are good things to have.
Oh
Yes,
yeah.
I do agree with a lot of the fitness professionals that like, well, motivation fades, and if you have discipline, you can stay consistent. Consistency is the thing, and I do agree. But I do think the thing that was missing for me personally um, is perspective, like
Mm.
vision. Because like if I don't respond well to discipline for the sake of discipline, and I wish I
Yeah,
did.
I don't either.
I'd be better at a lot of things if I did, but like that doesn't work for
Tell me about
me.
it.
And true to what they're saying, motivation comes and goes,
Hmm.
but to me it's about if I can see it, if I can understand it, if I can see how it comes together a little bit. I don't need to see the whole thing, but like if I can
Yeah.
sort of see that like, okay, this is how I put one foot in front of the other, and it matters because I'm walking towards the thing that I love, or the
Hmm.
person that I love, or whatever it is I love. Then every step along the way, every rock that gets in my shoe, every like bit of rain and hail and snow that comes to stop me, I can embrace it a little bit more, and I can actually start to love the challenge of it because I see the way towards what I love. And like when I work through love, I'm much more powerful and focused and driven. Um and I think that's what I've learned to lean into at this phase in my life a lot. And that helps me. Everybody's different. Everybody's got a different brain.
Hmm.
That's sort of the thing that works for me.
No,
So,
that makes sense. That makes sense. It's definitely because it anything that for me, anything that I do, it has to make sense. I want to make sure that I'm doing it
mhm,
for a reason. I don't want to just because sometimes I feel like I'm wasting my time, and I don't.
yeah,
I could be doing something else,
yeah,
more productive with my time. And
ten thousand
if
percent.
like the whole working out thing, I know this is on a tangent. Sorry, y'all, but I want to get this out. So the whole working out thing has been a struggle for me, because I do enough that I think, satisfies, my working out time. Whereas, someone else, a doctor, etc., might say, hey, you need to do more of this, this, or this. And I'm like, okay. So let me add this now to my I guess my schedule or repertoire or whatever you want to call it, and do it this way. But I need to also know why I'm doing it this way. Do I want
Mhm.
to lose weight? Do I want to gain weight? Do I want to, have the physique of a bodybuilder? Do I want to, like I need to know why I'm doing this before I do it.
Yeah.
I know it's to get healthy. I know it's to keep my cholesterol down. I get that. But the other aspects of it is if I'm still doing this amount of working out, I don't need to go hard and do it this way if this is working for me. So
Yeah.
it's weird ways of thinking about it, but
No,
no,
dude,
I get it. I
you and
get
I are on the same
it.
wavelength because that's always been the thing for me, and I think there's certain habits that, the sins of youth are paid for in old age. There's certain habits that would be better instilled in me now, and I'd be much further along with if I
Mhm.
didn't have that stubborn need to know, like, well, how does this make sense? And
Mhm.
it's a double-edged sword because I think it's one of my greatest attributes that allows me to sort of actually think about things and go like, either it makes sense or it doesn't. If it doesn't, I'm throwing it out. Like,
Mhm.
and my dad, who, went through a lot of struggle with me, he did say, like, I do love that about you, son. Like, um, you don't take anything at face value. As something I do appreciate about you. And I can hear the slight frustration underneath all of it because it's just like, hey, if you just do the thing I ask you to do. But I that's always been a big motivating factor for me, like is and determining factor for me is like I need to know how it makes sense. I need to know where I'm going
Mhm.
with it on at least a rudimentary level before I can really invest in it because I'm the same. I don't like to just do shit to just be doing shit. Like
Yeah.
we don't have enough time in the day. We don't have enough days in the
At
year.
all.
We don't have enough years in this life to just be
Mm-mm.
throwing shit away. Like I'd rather like, spend the entire day sleeping because I need the rest than go do
Yeah.
some shit that I'm not about doing. You know what I mean? Like
That part.
it's just
For sure.
like, and some people might call that lazy. I'm just like, no, like I want to do things that add value to my life and other
Mhm.
people's lives. And like, if I don't see the value, like at least with the shit I hate doing, like the day job or whatever, right? Like I can again, that's one of those things I reframe because I'm just like, because of the world we live in, the society we live in, I need to earn a certain amount to be able to do anything else. So I reframe
Yes.
it as part of the journey towards the stuff that matters, the stuff that makes sense,
Mhm.
and the stuff I love. And that's cool. But if it just seems like I'm just doing it, like, no, we
Mhm.
ain't got time for that. That's why
Mhm.
that's why who people who I feel like, do take advantage of my time at certain instances. I think that that's one of my biggest pet peeves. I'm just like, look,
Oh my god,
I will
bro.
show
Yes.
up for I
Yes.
will show up for you if you matter to me or if the thing matters, right? Like I will show up.
Yeah.
I'll rearrange my schedule. I'll make shit work. But like for me to show up and like you're half-assing it or you're not like or it's not like we could have like you're not even committing to it or whatever. I'm like, why are we here right now? like
Right.
like this is so disrespectful to my time, to anyone else's time who was involved. Like time is a non-renewable resource. That's why I get mad at my job sometimes. I'm just like, time is a non-renewable resource. Like you're like, well, we're paying you. I'm like, not enough.
Not enough.
Not enough for you to be asking for all this extra shit that I'm not about to do right now
Right.
because it's my time to clock out. So,
Exactly. No, I can
mm,
relate 100%. Even going back to voice acting, and I can
yes,
talk about this now because I didn't. It's over with. But I was a part of a project where I got casted for it. We had rehearsals for it. We were ready to start recording. We did record. After the first recording, we're now going into the next day rehearsal. I get an email saying, "Oh, the whole production's been canceled. We're no longer moving forward with this.
bro.
Thank you for
Mm-mm.
your thank
Nope.
you for your time." Is the
Nope.
worst thing to say to me because I took the time. For those that don't know, my work schedule is 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. I don't have time for anything. So I have to schedule
Facts.
things at specific times of my days. And that thing
Facts.
started exactly after I got off work. So I gotta boost my energy up. I gotta be in acting mode. I have to do all these other things to get into my character right after work.
Yeah.
To only to be in the production for 3 days and get that email. It was like,
No,
bro,
nah. See, I don't like that shit. That's
duh.
that our time matters more than your time. And sometimes it's an accident. They're just not they don't have their shit
Yeah,
together.
things
But
happen. Yeah.
even then, it's like you gotta be on top of this shit. Like
Man.
you can't like y- that's why it's important to like not to know your job well enough and to make sure you're honoring everybody's time who
Mhm.
you've worked with. I know you talked before with me about a film you got to do where they were super respectful of your time and
Yeah,
everyone's
yeah,
time
yeah.
involved. And I think that's always awesome to hear because it's it's like I said, it's a non-renewable resource. I just can't say it any other way. Like I don't get the
Mhm.
time back. I can make more money. I can get more food. I can get more. I can do a lot of things. But like I will never get time back once it's spent. And
At all.
I don't think enough people respect that. When I fuck up and take up someone else's time or have to break plans, I go out of my way to make sure they know, like, A, I'm deeply sorry about this. B, I
Yeah.
do respect you. C, this shit's not gonna be happening on the regular. We'll figure it out. And I try to compensate somehow for any inconvenience or whatever. So like
Mhm.
I feel like it's just it's a sign of respect, and I think there's an air of like in the acting and entertainment industry, even in voice acting, sometimes it's just like, oh well, you're lucky to be in the room. You're an actor, like And I'm like, I'm not
Yeah.
just lucky to be in the room. Like I provide a very specific service. You invited me to the table because of that service I provide.
Yep.
Show me the due respect. Even if I'm
Mhm.
auditioning for you, like I showed up when I could have been doing anything else right now. I'm helping you figure out what your vision is. Yeah, you may not pick me, and that's
Mhm.
cool. But like, I'm helping you by even being here. So please show me mutual respect. And and I gotta hold myself to that same standard. I gotta show you respect. I gotta show up on
Absolutely.
time and do my part. So just
Yeah,
get it
because
together, people.
because like you said, you get those situations where you have like the directors or whoever part of a in charge of a project where some actors aren't doing what they're supposed to do, and then some they have to end up getting rid of those actors, or those actors leave the project, and it's like, well, don't bother hitting me up again because you wasted our time. It
Hmm.
works the other way where it's like,
Yes.
you need actors, bro. You need
Yeah.
actors for your project. So if you wasting their time, what makes you think other people are gonna come want to work with you? It's like,
I'm.
if you're making a habit of doing this where you're just like stopping production, or casting these people who are taking the times out of their day from other projects they could be either auditioning for or being a part of. It's like, bro, they're losing out on other opportunities because you're being inconsiderate of their time. But
Yeah. No,
I know I know things happen. I know,
same. Yeah.
certain life events occur that you can't really control. But in this situation that I was in, there was no life. According to the email, their vision wasn't what they thought it was going to be when they
That's
were
some bullshit.
it was
That's
I
some
hated it,
serious
bro.
bullshit.
I
That's
hated
some
all of it.
pretentious artist bullshit.
I read it with the most craziest side eye. I was like reading it like this, like, really? Okay. Uh-huh. Yep. Uh-huh. All
Because you
right.
can't account for the amount of time you spent preparing, learning the shit, like getting ready, like you said, around your work schedule. You got family to be with, like that's the
Man.
thing. You don't know what's going on in people's lives. Like there are other places I could be, right? Like there are other places anyone. We all have shit to do. That's why I don't let people off the hook when they just say in general they're busy. I'm like, well, we're all busy with something. Like our days have to get
Yeah.
filled somehow. So like
Mhm.
but just show people mutual respect because if I could just be spending time with the fam or taking care of a sick loved one or doing something that's healthy for me, like I'd rather just be doing that. That's cool. Like just let me know.
You wanna know what
Um
the icing on the cake was? After all of that, their final statement was, "If we do continue this project in the future, we would love for you to come back and play this role."
Oh
Ah.
shit. That's like the person who stood you up on a date being like, I would love to try again. Um, you already sat down, you already ordered like something to drink, like you're already
Man.
waiting, like it's just like, nah, I'm good. You couldn't show up to the first date or let me know you couldn't show up to the first date, like you
Wow.
like, but
Crazy.
the next day you're gonna be like, hey, my bad, I forgot or whatever, or some crazy
Mhm.
shit happened. I'm like, you get out of here, get out of here. Um,
But nah, that's been my other than that experience, my good experiences with voice acting have been generally very, very um helpful and I've learned a lot doing it,
yeah.
actually being in it. Like, yes, I took voice acting classes. Um had an instructor who was always there when I needed, assistance, or I needed to use his studio if I had any questions. But actually doing it and being in it, I feel like I'm learning a lot, just figuring out my talent, my voice, how I want to voice certain characters,
Mhm.
being able to practice while being a part of these whatever jobs that I'm taking on. And yeah, I'm having a blast doing it. It's really fun. The
No
amount
props
of
to you.
voice acting that you've done, Phil, what would you say your experience has been like?
Yeah. No, I mean, real quick. No, I'm really happy for you, man. I'm glad you're.
Thank
I
you.
know how much you love this. So like, that's cool that you're doing the thing. You're not
Thank
being
you. Appreciate
deterred.
it.
That's great. And you're working with great people. I have always, again, loved animation, and so like I've always dreamed of voicing animated characters and video game characters. Like the one of the holy grails is, one, I would love to be an anime character of any kind. Um,
Same.
uh, two, like I would love to have an anime character in my likeness, which is like tougher, but like I would love to somehow make that happen where I'm the
Yep.
voice, but it also kind of looks like me. Similarly, which is a little bit more attainable, I would love, but still fucking hard. I would love to be a video game character where I do the motion capture and the voice and the likeness.
Hmm.
Like shout out to what's his name? Cameron, homie in the Star Wars games. I'm Cameron Monaghan. I'm fucking up all
Oh
day
yeah,
today.
yeah. Hmm.
Shout out to him. Which jumping back real quick, like I think cases like that where you got Cameron Monaghan doing that, or you've got like Willem Dafoe and Elliot Page doing like Beyond Two Souls.
Beyond Two
Like
Souls, yeah.
I think those are not stunt casting. I think those are just like we wanted the dopest actors. We wanted the dopest actors possible to pull off this very emotional thing, and I
Mm,
think that happens too.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, back to my own experiences. I have mostly so far. I've done a little bit of character work for like like student projects or small things like that. But like mostly, I
Nice.
get booked right now for commercial, which is
Nice,
also great
nice.
and is also a challenge because people don't think about this, but like anytime you hear a voice like that's like recorded or automated, I mean now we live in the age of AI, so that's different. But
Ugh,
typically it is typically it is a human being.
AI.
I agree.
Ugh.
I agree, bro. Like real quick side tangent. I do think that AI is fine as like a toy or a tool for somebody who just wants to explore the technology or explore like
Agreed.
maybe
Yep.
maybe you're maybe you have an injury and your hands aren't so great and like you're never going to be that artist you want to be, but like you can make something in your head come to life. Cool.
Hmm.
But like when you start using it to replace people's professions and doing it soullessly, I'm like, nah, man.
Mm-mm.
Nah, man. No, I'm not with it. I'm not with it because, like,
Nah.
I don't mind AI if there's still a human touch to it. If human creativity is still part of the process, but when it's just like auto generate whatever for me, or let me use somebody else's voice to say whatever I want them to say, like
Nah.
gross, gross.
Mm-mm.
Um, That said, I really do think that anytime you hear a voice, typically more often than not, it's somebody had to record that. So if you're at the grocery store and
Mm,
you hear somebody telling you about like the different things that are going on, that's somebody's job to record that.
yeah.
And so I think voice acting was cool to learn about in my acting training and to start getting into because it was one of the things that made acting even more attainable for me and more of a real job and not just this pipe
Hmm.
dream thing that only special people get to do. It's like no, it's a learnable skill. Like I think there's this myth about um talent, and don't get me wrong, talent exists, and like there are people we do end up being born with natural aptitudes and like great potential in certain areas, but like and those are gifts and that's beautiful, but like what matters most is that you put the work in. If you have the talent, sharpen it and it'll be something beautiful. If you don't have the talent or the gift, a lot of things you could still learn. A lot of things
True.
are skill related. You can learn to play the piano.
Yep.
There is a technique to it. You can learn to be an actor. I can't tell you how great you're going to be at it, but like it is a
Hmm.
learnable skill if you're willing to do the work. And so that was the big thing for me growing up, watching cartoons, watching Boy Meets World, watching all the great summer blockbuster movies and whatever. Like
Hmm.
I had troubles, like I dreamed about it all the time, but I had trouble figuring out like, well, how do you get from here to there?
Yeah.
And I'm very thankful for an acting mentor of mine who I met through at college, who really when I buckled down and decided I would go back to college to try and pick up the trade of acting and see if I had any right to pursue it, anything to develop.
Yep.
Um, I I'm thankful for this mentor because like he really broke things down in a way that made me see like no, it's just about putting that work in and being committed and trusting your instincts and all that stuff. And so voice acting, doing commercial voice work has been great in the sense that um it does stretch me in brand new ways, and it did make it the goal of being an actor more attainable. And I think that I mean, I worked with a voice acting coach for a little bit, like 1 or 2 sessions that like
Hmm.
got me to think completely different about stuff. Like you're reading copy for commercials, and commercials are awkward anyways because usually it's not stuff you would just say in real
Right.
life.
No, that's true.
But I was practicing with his voice coach, and he said like he gave me a Disney World ad, and he said like, all right, I want you to take this line, and at a Disney World where you'll believe you can fly. And he says, I want to hear the smile in it. And I had to
Mm,
really think about that because I'm just like, oh, okay. Like I think I know what he's getting at, but like, how do I do that? And like we did some takes and I had to find it and eventually I got it. But like those are the type of notes you might get in voice acting where it's like, I
yeah.
need to hear the smile. And when people compare the different types of acting, whether it's for film or theater or voice or motion capture, people like to pit them against each other for some dumb reason and say like one's harder than the other. I'm like, bullshit, it's all acting and each presents its own unique challenges because like if
Hmm.
you're doing theater, you have some pros and cons. You're doing something that is live, so there are no takes. There is no redo. You
Nope.
need to have improv skills because inevitably somebody does something that they're not quote unquote supposed to do at that time, or we jump have you ever like if you've ever been an actor who has been on stage and somebody jumped dialogue and you had to figure out how to fucking get back
Oh
to make
yes.
sure it gets covered and then proceed forward, like that's
Sometimes I
some
was the
shit.
one jumping dialogue. I ain't even gonna
No,
lie.
no save. It happens. It happens. Like it's such a real thing. So like there's definitely muscles that you strengthen by doing theater.
Yep.
But there's also advantages because you know what? In theater, you are with the character longer. You're with the exact same story you're supposed to be telling longer. Um, like I mean, at worst, maybe you're doing one of those two-part shows like The Inheritance or Angels in America, which is a beast. I won't lie about that. But like the thing is, you get more time to figure out who your character is. you're doing more reps of the same story over and over again. You get actual rehearsals, which you don't always get in other mediums. Uh, and the story is always sequential, at least to how it's written. And so, like,
Mm.
I'm always going to play the full arc of the story or my character or whatever in order. Flash over to film, it's like you get takes and you get bloopers and you get like directors hands on because on stage, the director can't help your ass. You're just up
Nope.
there. It's too late then. But like, you get notes and you get takes and you get break time and lunch and all this other great stuff. And people make it sound cushy, but
Mhm.
I'm like, yeah. But also, day one, we're filming the scene where your mom dies. It's the end of the movie. You need to be there first thing because that's what we're doing. Tomorrow we're gonna shoot the first scene of the movie where you're happy, and then after that we're gonna shoot some shit that happens in the middle. Then we're gonna jump back to the third act. Like shit's not in order if you're doing TV and film, and it's like that takes a certain level of preparation and skill and ability to connect that people don't think about. So film is hard too, and then with voice acting, which is the point I'm trying to get to, motion capture, by the way, tough because you're telling a story physically,
Yeah.
and you don't want to do too much that it seems silly, but you want to
Mhm.
be believable. And then voice acting, same thing. You got all you have is your vocal apparatus, and
Yes.
you will get notes like "I need to hear the smile," and if you can't
Mhm.
figure that shit out, your performance is going to be flat, and or you're going to
Yeah.
be fired. So it's just like a great leap of faith doing voice acting. It's fun and it's freeing, and you get to do shit you never do necessarily in live action sometimes. But also it's real technical and really you have to have that connection
Mhm.
and that ability to engender like resonate that connection through your delivery. A lot of
No,
it's just diction.
I agree. 100%. I actually would love to do more commercial um industrial voice acting myself. I've only been able to get one job, and that was become the voice of my job's voicemail. so
Hey, that's
so
work
if you
though.
call if you so I'm not gonna tell you where I work, but if you ever somehow magically call up my company, not knowing that I work there, but just all of a sudden stumbled upon it, you will hear my voice is
I love
the
that.
voicemail voice. So
I
I would
love
love
that.
to do more though, because I was told I have a good industrial commercial voice.
Yeah,
And
dude.
even though it's crazy, because when I was taking my acting classes, I initially was going in, yeah, I want to, because like you, I want to voice a cartoon character, an anime character, a video game
Word,
character. And he was
word.
like, you have a great industrial commercial voice. I was like, oh well, thanks, but I want to do this. But no, it definitely helped me realize, okay, so there are other um doors that I can go through, in terms of like I can try my voice in this realm of commercial
Mhm.
industrial characters. So there's so
Yes.
many different options in it that you get to experience with and try out and see if it works for you or not.
Word.
Love
Yeah,
it.
no, I
Love it a lot.
agree. I agree. And I'm a second or third or fourth that comment. Yeah, you do have a
Hmm.
great you have a great broadcast voice. I think that's one of the things I was most excited about in working with you on the podcast is I'm just like, oh dude, he just has a great he has a radio voice. Like it's so soothing. And like a lot of times, and just as for anyone who's interested in voice acting, don't be deterred if this isn't you, but like a lot of times they're looking for the Midwestern accent because
Yeah.
it's the most like universal throughout like the country and even throughout the world. It's like easier for
Hmm.
people to understand if they're like not, English isn't their first language. And if you're just in different parts of the US or the UK,
Hmm.
like the Midwestern, I hate when people say we don't have an accent. It's an act. Everyone has an accent.
It's definitely an accent.
Everyone has an accent. Hang out
Definitely.
in hang out in Michigan and ask them to, say mitten. And I had to force myself to say that because I spent enough time in Michigan that I was about to
Mitten.
say it the regular way. Um,
Mitten.
mitten, like it's
Mitten.
mitten. um,
Yep.
I came from St. Louis, Missouri. So I was saying, like, if you've heard Nelly songs, It's pretty true. Like it's hot in here.
It's
It's
the
hot in her.
that's the country grammar. Absolutely.
So I had to actually unlearn some of that stuff. But yeah, the
Mhm,
Midwestern accent is the most marketable in commercial stuff. Don't be
mhm.
determined if you do have a thick accent from somewhere else. There's work for everybody. Trust me, I see the
Yeah,
breakdowns.
absolutely.
I see the breakdowns. They're
I'm I I wish I could. Like, that's really another goal of mine is to just work on accents because I would love
same.
to, just try various different accents just to be able to do more roles because it's been a lot of roles that I would like read or see auditions for, and I'm like I look to see who they trying to cast and be like must have such and such accent or whatever. I'm like,
Mhm.
dang it, I can't
Yep.
speak Jamaican.
100%. Yo, must be a Spanish speaker, must have a real UK British accent. I'm like,
Yup,
"Ah,
yup,
fuck." Well, I
yup.
stretched myself once to, try and pick up an Australian accent. I'm not about to do it for y'all, sorry.
Oh.
Uh, there was a sci-fi, indie project science fiction indie project that I got,
Okay.
cast in Michigan. And, and I don't know why they didn't ask me to, but I was just like,
Mhm,
I'm gonna prepare this role two ways. I have my voice and I'll do that thing, but I wanted to stretch
mhm.
myself, and I was like, well, maybe he could be Australian. Like, are there accents in this sci-fi fantasy world you're creating? I had to ask them on set, and they told
Yeah.
me to go with my actual accent, and I'm like, fair. I'm not offended.
Okay.
But like I spent like weeks listening to Keenan Lonsdale talk. Kid
Okay.
Flash from The Flash, if you guys aren't initiated.
Okay.
He's a musician now as well. But like, yeah, I listened because I was like, I keep finding Australian accents, but like they're all white dudes, and I feel like there's got to be a different
Mhm,
thing when it's when you black. So I'm just like, all right, let me
mm.
find a black, Australian, accent I can try to mimic, and I spent a lot of time with that. It was fun. I want some
Wow.
actual training though. I want somebody to like
Yeah,
guide, like a
same.
dialect coach to guide me through that. That'd be cool.
Mhm.
That'd be real
That's
cool.
definitely a goal. I think this is a good segue into like voicing outside ethnicity conversation.
Ooh, yeah, yeah.
I know we've seen and witnessed a lot of situations, especially as of recent, where a lot of I guess character, especially in cartoons, where you'd have um, for example, Cleveland Brown character who was voiced by a white guy
Yep.
initially.
Mhm.
He stepped down from the role. They were able to find a POC person of color to voice Cleveland. I am familiar with the guy from YouTube. I used to check he used to do a lot of YouTube's voicing Cleveland as well as Obama. He voiced Trump. He voiced a lot of characters
Oh,
playing
word.
video games, Call of Duty games, where he prank people online as those characters, which was
That's
really funny
cool.
to
That's
watch.
really cool.
And I guess he got a big, buzz, and he went viral with his impressions, and they reached out to him for the voice of Cleveland because he was doing Cleveland already, and he got the role, which was really really dope. Um, what are your thoughts on voicing outside ethnicity?
Do you want me to start or do you want to start? Because I feel like I got a mouthful.
Obviously, I mean, not let me not say obviously because it's not an obvious thing. I personally will say, I would prefer to keep if it's a black character, have that person be voiced by a black character. However, there are certain circumstances where I know we had Phil Lamar do Samurai Jack, and that's
Yep.
kind of that was no one really talks about it, but it was controversy. It was one of those things where, and even though Samurai Jack didn't really have that many lines to begin with in his show,
Right.
he
Yeah.
barely spoke. But
Yeah.
even when he did speak, it was Phil Lamar. But
Aku.
I guess it's one of those things where it depends. Obviously, for that role, I'm not really mad at it because it wasn't that many lines. I don't feel like he was taking that job away from someone that could possibly have voiced or given more to that character.
Mhm.
But I do understand that, yeah, someone of Asian descent could have possibly, voiced that character instead.
Right.
Um, but it's done. But
Mhm.
is if it feels one of those things where it was continuing, I can see, okay, maybe he steps down and gives that role to somebody else, but
Right,
that
right.
that show is no longer airing. Whereas like for example, a show called Big Mouth, where they had a character, her name was Missy, black girl on the show. She was voiced by a white woman, and she made the decision to step down from that role. And she felt just like how everybody else felt. She felt, okay, you guys are right. I guess it was, I don't remember what started it. It probably was a Cleveland Brown thing, but when she finally, I want to say maybe second, third season, decided to step down, so they found somebody of color to voice, the character, which was actually Ayo, I'm gonna butcher her last name. Edibiri? Ayo Edibiri. She
Mm.
recently just won an Emmy for The Bear.
Yeah.
She's been in Abbott Elementary. She's been popping a lot. But she's now the voice of Missy in Big Mouth. So I love that. I love, people actually taking, it upon themselves to make that decision to, step down and, you know, give the character the proper voice actor, which is cool. Um, I don't have any recollection of any other events like that happening.
Yeah.
Because a lot of that was happening back when I was watching stuff like the 90s, the 80s and 90s. Whereas right now it's a little bit more tamed. People are more, you know, outspoken than they were back then. They're literally letting people know, hey, either I don't want to voice this role and it should be by this ethnicity, or I don't want to audition for this role, blah blah blah, etc.
Yeah.
However, it is really tough when you have anime out there that's English dubbed by a white male
Mhm,
or a
mhm.
white female. So
Yep.
it's like it's really tough. It's a really tough conversation because it's like I love certain voice actors who voice, certain English dubbed characters, but I mean,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
what do you do? Do you not cast that person and just go find someone that's Asian descent? When now there are black characters in these animes, so I
Yeah.
get that, but I can't think of nobody off the top of my head that I can think of, but yeah, it's a tricky conversation. I
Yeah.
personally would prefer it to be voiced by whatever ethnicity that character is, but like you said earlier, Phil, you would like to be the voice of a character of your your skin tone. Like you would like to
Yeah.
voice a black character in an anime, which is something
Yeah.
I would love to do as well.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
100%.
that's honestly my thoughts. I don't like it, but I would love for that to change if it can, personally.
Yeah, yeah.
And it has been slowly. It's been people been
Oh,
stepping down from roles. Um,
we've seen it a
people have
lot.
been,
Yeah,
yeah.
like
So
I mean, poor Hank Azaria. I mean, I know he made lots and lots of money doing The Simpsons for years, but he was the voice of
oh yeah, I forgot
Apu.
about the Simpsons. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Apu being a character that absolutely of was offensive to many people of Indian descent.
Hmm.
Um, I don't think that was ever The Simpsons, Matt Groening's intention. I think,
Yeah, the intentions. Yeah.
I think the characters in The Simpsons are all intentionally broad, and they make fun of certain stereotypes, even with the white or yellow characters, and like so forth and so
Hmm.
on. But like um, they're all kind of cartoon caricatures, but then they have some hidden depth is kind of the Simpsons
Hmm.
thing. But like, that was just kind of pretty commonplace in the industry back then. And I don't think like I feel bad that Hank Azaria, who I adore as an actor,
Hmm.
I think it sucks that you know he got like all of this backlash and he feels bad and he's
Yeah,
apologized
yeah,
publicly and he has stepped down and he is, you know, I feel like, the public beat him up a little too much. Like it was like y'all don't have to destroy these actors who were just looking for work and excited
yeah.
to
It
be
was just
doing their
looking for
thing.
work. Yeah.
You know, it's sort of similar. I know I'm gonna get some shit for this, but like it's similar to kind of like Scarlett Johansson, right? Like there are instances in which I am like, Scarlett, you might have known a little bit better than that. But there are other
Yeah,
times where I'm like, actually, I feel like y'all are going harder on her than other people who have done the exact same thing. Like
yeah.
she was,
Absolutely, I agree.
one of the big controversies that she faced was, I mean, look, I'm not gonna like everybody involved with Ghost in the Shell fucked up on the American side, okay?
Yep.
Character's name is Motoko Kusanagi, and you hire the whitest actor you could possibly
The
pick.
whitest actor.
And you try to make it work in the narrative to make it like
Hmm.
okay. And I'm like, you literally whitewashed this character. Like but
And that goes back,
nonetheless.
and that circles back to that whole stunt casting where she was popping during that time that movie came out because you got Black
Yeah.
Widow. She had a movie,
Lucy.
Lucy. That's the one I was thinking of. Lucy. Yep.
What's wild about that casting is I actually think she is a type that fits the major, but she's not Motoko Kusanagi. Like you gotta like
Nah.
have some respect. Like I can see Scarlett Johansson playing that style of character, but it's
Yeah.
just that one
Yeah.
specifically needed to be someone of Japanese or at very least Asian
It's
consent
it's been a while
descent.
since I've
Oh,
seen that
excuse
movie.
me.
Was it? Correct me if I'm wrong, but for that movie, was the character, and spoilers for if you haven't seen it, but
Yes, spoilers, spoilers,
was the
spoilers.
character Asian first, and then she something happened to that Asian character in the movie, and then she became Scarlet
Yes,
character?
I'm not even
Something
gonna
like
hold
that.
y'all up. I have never seen this movie on
Okay.
principle, but I
Okay.
did I did research it, and yes, she
Okay.
goes to I think a gravestone at the end, and I believe it's revealed that she is Motoko Kusanage, but like,
Okay.
and she was a Japanese woman, but like Ghost in the Shell is all about for those who before everyone gets too upset. Um, Ghost in the Shell is about like in the technological age, what is our identity? Like, what is it to be human? And you in the Ghost in the Shell universe, you're able to be what they call full prosthetic. A lot of people have
Okay.
cybernetic implants, but some people, because of car accident or whatever has happened to them, have put their mind into a fully synthetic body. And so
Okay.
that is in the original manga and movie and anime series. But the fact
And
that
forgive me, y'all, because I'm not Ghost in the Shell savvy. So forgive me if I'm if I'm hurting some feelings out there.
It's all good. It's all good. We can't know about everything. But like that is part of the Ghost in the Shell canon. They fucked it up
Okay.
by saying like she was the Japanese lady, but then she got put in a white woman's body. I'm like, which is
Got
funny.
you. Okay.
They did a reverse Psylocke, which I'm not sure if that's okay either. If you guys are X-Men fans, there's a character named Psylocke.
Oh
She's a
yeah.
British woman, British white woman who's psychic and ends up putting her mind in the body of a I don't know, an Asian, like I don't know, essentially ninja or whatever. I don't know what
Hmm.
what Psylocke really is. It was the 90s. They weren't doing all the research back then. But like that to say, Ghost of the Shell wasn't even the thing she got the most hell for. Scarlett Johansson got the most hell for trying to announcing she was taking on a transgender character for a movie that she was working on, and the backlash from the internet got so bad that she did give up the role, and I think she eventually did apologize as well. But like one of her initial defenses was like, because she was just trying to tell a story, and one of her initial defenses was like, well, talk to the agents of Jared Leto and for who literally won an award for Dallas Buyers Club. And I'm losing the actor. He's from Arrested Development, but he did a show called Transparent, and he was winning awards for that TV show. He
Mm,
played like the dad in Arrested Development, the grandfather or whatever. Like, but like,
okay.
he's and they're both, they're both talented actors, but it's just like literally 5 seconds ago, everybody was saying like this is fine, and like they turned such great performances, and then yes, some time had progressed, and Scarlett tries it, and everybody's like, "You're the worst thing in the world. You're evil. You're trying to destroy all these minority groups, and shame on you." And I'm just like, can we give her a minute to like figure this
Yeah.
out? Like, I'm not saying what she's doing was like great, but like, can we figure this out for a second? Because
Yeah, and
we're
then also
shifting.
give them a chance to like learn what they're doing is not right. Like
Yeah,
people expect them to automatically just be woke instantly, where it's like some
right.
people are literally just trying to work, like you said earlier. Like they're not even thinking
Yeah.
about like, oh wow, I didn't like give them a chance to like
Yeah.
feel was or hear all the news that's going on about it, and then give them a chance. But they
100%.
they be so quick to like tear somebody down. Like damn.
Yeah, like I've thought about it before. I'm like, I love there's a live action adaptation of the anime character Kassan, which was then translated to Kasern. And Kasern was one of my favorite movies. Came out like in 2004 or something. Like same time as
Mm,
like Sky Captain World Tomorrow. They were just doing all that green screen stuff,
okay.
and it's really, I think it's really phenomenal film. The special effects are dated now, but I think the artistic vision of it and the ambition is just really incredible, and it's a great story.
Hmm.
It has a lot of cool things important things to say. But like, I love that character. I'm like, oh man, I would love to be Kasern, but also
Mm,
I'm Kasern is Japanese and needs to be Japanese, and like I'm like, I
hmm.
would rather create a character that's like an homage to that character, but I'm not
Yes.
gonna try and be that guy, because that guy is part of the DNA, is where he comes from and who he, his heritage. And so
Hmm.
to me, getting back to voice acting, I think that I see it as a complex issue, um, because on one hand, my ideal voice acting world, because I think the beauty of voice acting is the enticement of like anybody can be anybody if you have the chops, right? Like
Hmm.
I can be a 13-year-old girl if I can actually pull that off, right? Like I'm not
Right.
saying that's on my to-do list, but I'm just saying like we have that freedom because it's the beauty. One of the beauties of voice acting is it's not about what you look like,
Hmm.
but here's the other side of it though, and this is where I think people are very split on the issue and are in one camp or the other. And people who say like, oh, everyone's woke now, it's voice acting, it doesn't matter. But I'm like, no, 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 no. Here's the thing. I think two things need to happen for you to be able to ethically play someone outside of your ethnicity or personal background. Um,
Hmm.
One, we need an even playing field. Like anybody can play anybody is cool if Black and Asian and Latinx and Native and various and Indian actors are being let through the door, right? Like if
Mm.
everybody's being given a chance to play, like if I can be the voice of, I don't know, and be pretty lame to do this, but an animated James Bond or something, then let me do that, right? Like
Yep.
because like fine. Um it's not about what I look like. But if you're saying it's not about what people look like, but then 90% of the working actors are white people, I'm just making up
Mm.
that number. I haven't done the actual research y'all, but most voice acting is a very small world, and you
Yeah.
see a lot of the same names over and over again, and a lot of them are white. Okay, and that comes from a history of systemic racism, and obviously, they're trying to close the doors to other types of people. They weren't even thinking about other types of people because that's how racist shit was, and that racism has been handed down and handed down. And I think the people casting now may not all of them are necessarily actively racist, but the system is just it's just become tradition. And like because of that head start white actors got, a lot of them a lot of those white actors have the star power and they have the names, right? Like because they've been doing the work more. They've been given more opportunities to work. So like yes, I do think a lot of my favorite voice actors are very talented people who happen to be white, but like, and I'm not
Hmm.
hating on them. I love a lot of these actors, but like you have a built-in advantage, and not everybody's being invited to the table. And that goes to the
Exactly.
casting process, and that also goes to the writers' room and the creative, the director side, I think that we need more people of color to be invited into
Yes.
all of those spaces. And then we can have a serious conversation about, well, anybody can play anybody. And I would
Mm.
love that. I would love that world to exist because I really do think, like Phil Lamar, like I thought he was great as Samurai Jack, and they were cool enough to make sure that Aku was actually a Japanese actor, at least an
Yes.
Asian actor. I don't want to get that wrong, but he sounded like he had a Japanese, really convincing Japanese accent. But like here's the thing, like I'm cool with everybody getting a chance to play if that's what we're really doing. But if that's not what
Mhm.
we're really fucking doing, then yeah, people should stay in their lane. The other thing, the
Agreed.
second thing that I really need to happen for this to really work out, as far as anybody being able to play anybody, is respect. If you're
Yes.
not playing, somebody of your culture or ethnicity, then you better tread very fucking carefully, and you better not be doing some caricature racist bullshit and
Yeah,
passing
that
it off
part.
as a legitimate accent. And
Facts.
even if that's how the show is written or the movie is written or whatever, then let somebody of that ethnicity do that part then, because we
Yes.
can make fun of ourselves. You coming in as a white person and essentially doing the voice equivalent of blackface or brownface is not
Mhm.
it. Is not it. So I guess
No,
that's where I'm at.
that's no, I feel you. It's one of those things where, like you said, respect is really key. Like, it takes me back to an example, and I just found this out like maybe last week. Just looking, just being, I was just in Google World. I don't know how I ended up there, but I was looking up this voice actor named Greg Eagles,
Hmm.
and he plays the voice of Grim on Billy and Mandy.
Ah.
And the creator of the show initially was not looking to cast a black voice actor for the role of Grim. It was initially written for a white guy.
I didn't even know he
But
was black.
yeah, so Greg Eagles came in, and who's also the voice of Aku Aku, Crash Bandicoot. Um,
Nice.
he came in and did the role. And we all know Grim has, for those who've seen Billy and Mandy show, he has a Jamaican accent to his character.
Mm,
He brought that to the character just to give the character a little something, and they loved it, and they went with his character. It was just dope because Grim, even though they initially wrote it for a white person, he's not
yes.
necessarily he's deaf. Like he's literally just deaf. He has no race. He's deaf, so he could be played by anybody.
It's true.
But
It's true.
you do get those instances where maybe on the casting call or audition, it was like maybe ethnicity must be a white person. Maybe that's what was written on there.
Yeah.
But he still went out there, auditioned for it, and they loved what he did, and they went with his version of it. But no, it was just some random fact that I found out last week, and it was just dope to
That's
see that.
really cool. That's really cool. I didn't know. And I think it's beautiful
Yeah.
that I didn't know. And I think that that's another thing too, is like whether it's voice acting or live action, this
Hmm.
whole thing about like race swapping and all that stuff. It's like,
Hmm.
look, when it comes down to who can play what, I think again, respect is a big thing.
Hmm.
Authenticity is a big thing. But here's the other thing. When you look at the character breakdown, when you look at the character from top to bottom, is it quintessential that they remain the original, ethnicity or race that was depicted? When I
Mm.
look at a character like, for example, when I look at a character like James Bond,
Hmm.
I've been talking with a white female friend of mine who and we've been having a conversation back and forth, and it's just like I told her my vote for James Bond was Idris Elba. I think he would kill it.
Mm.
And she was like, "Yeah, I've been saying for years, Dev Patel should be James Bond." I'm like, "Also dope."
Mm.
Like, I'm like, I don't know if either of them wants to do it, but I'm just like the fact
Right.
that the culture around it is they're not even worth asking because
Yeah.
they're not white. I'm like, that's dumb because I'm like,
That's crazy.
James Bond's history has nothing to do with him being white. Um, it really, like, it's not essential to the character. It's not one of the core tenets. Now, if in case you're one of those butthurt white fans, here's the thing. I think that you look at a character like example, Captain America, Steve Rogers.
Mhm.
Absolutely has to be a white guy. 1940s super soldier. They're not
Yep.
giving that shit to a person of color. They're not entrusting super soldier serum to, and they tackle that in the MCU and
Yeah,
the
they
comic
do.
books. And it's just like, yeah, Steve Rogers, it's very like, even though his personality could have been filled by anyone under the sun, but
Mhm.
it's important to the story that he's white. And so, like, I think it happens all the time in voice acting as well. Like, just tread carefully, do it with respect. And I don't think we can
Yes.
really step out of our lanes fully ethically without creating enough space for everyone in the first place.
Mhm.
So I guess that's how I'll leave that.
One funny example, and this is different because, and I guess we could talk about it too, is when you're voicing characters that aren't humans. So
Hmm.
animals or like
Yeah.
creatures or whatever. I always go to Lion King as a good example when young Simba being voiced
Mm.
by Jonathan Taylor Thomas, but
Right.
then the singing part of young Simba is Jason Weaver from Smart Guy.
Right.
So
Right.
it's like,
Why couldn't bro do both? Why?
but then the
Why?
father, Mufasa,
Yeah.
it's just like, yeah, it's certain things like that. I don't know why that casting was like that for young Simba or even older Simba, because I think wasn't it my
Yeah.
man's what's his name?
Uh,
Inspector Gadget.
yeah,
Ah,
yeah,
shoot.
yeah, yeah. Ferris
Uh
Bueller.
what is his name? Ooh,
Why do I feel like Matthew
wow.
Broderick? Matthew Broderick.
Matthew Broderick.
Thank
Yes.
you. We're
He
just
he
guys. We're
was
on the
he
struggle
was the
bus
older
today.
Simba. He was the older Simba. So it was like I'm curious to know, like, obviously they weren't even thinking about race when they were, casting those roles. They was just going for like the popular, Jonathan Taylor Thomas's Home Improvements, and
Right. Yeah. The household
the one
names.
Christmas movie that he did, and I'll Be Home for
S-
Christmas, and all the other
Stunt
stuff he was
casting.
doing.
Stunt
Yeah.
casting. And it's
Yep. Yep.
funny that race finds its way into stunt casting because like and that's a star-studded cast that did Lion King, and Disney does
Hmm.
that from time to time.
But it's
Um
like, why not let Jason Weaver play the main, young Simba and sing as him? Like,
right.
saw him do his thing on the Jackson 5 movie where he was young Mike, singing
Yeah.
his ass off. We know he can sing. We know he
Yeah.
can act.
100% asking the real questions that not enough
Yeah.
people asked at the time, not enough white people asked at the time, because that's what I mean about systemic racism. I'm not here to call out the creators of Lion King as actively being, hateful, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying like the fact that that wasn't important to them, that like, hey, we've got James Earl Jones playing the father, and
Mhm.
this talented young black soulful singer is doing the vocals, the
Mhm.
music vocals, and he's an actor and a good actor. But nah, we're not
Mhm.
even gonna look at him to be
Crazy.
Simba because it's important that Simba is, yeah. I just think it's, and like I remember being insulted as a kid, and me and my friends and my older brother were talking about this, like that at that time, you have to understand Disney had not really done anything for black
Mm-mm.
characters. And so Lion King, which is set in Africa, is the closest we got. I'm like, the closest we're gonna get to a black,
Yep.
main characters in a Disney movie in that time in the 90s was, oh, some animals in Africa. Okay, cool. That's insulting enough in and of itself. But then when you go to the casting, it wasn't even important to you that like the royal family was black. At least, I mean, I'm not. I love everybody who did their thing in that movie, especially Jeremy Irons as Scar. Like, come on, fucking evil as shit. Voice
Man,
acting right
did a
there.
great job.
Yeah.
Great job.
So I've been doing this, and I know we gotta wrap this up, but like I've been doing this as I rewatch Buffy the Vampire Slayer as well, because
Mhm.
like a lot of shows of its time, very whitewashed.
Yeah.
If you were
Yeah.
making Buffy today, it would have to be very different. But it's very white, and like I've been looking at it, and I'm like, look, as a person of color who loves this thing, I can see it, I can identify it and recognize that, like, yep, yep, very white up in here. But I can also still appreciate that the white people that were selected did their thing,
They
and
did their thing,
it's
yeah.
not their fault, really. Like it's you know, it's like I'm not into this culture that's like, let's shame the cast of Friends and let's shame the cast of, you know, whatever uh primarily white thing, and say
Mhm.
like they were evil because they didn't invite anyone else in. I'm like, look, mistakes were made, but they still made a good show, a good movie, a good whatever they were doing. And I can still love it and appreciate it and still see that it's got some problematic elements. And
Absolutely.
that's where I got.
And no, but it's like we talked about earlier. It's they change is happening. And like it's slowly but surely you see the change happening.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get to that point where, like you said, we don't have to worry about race and we can all just voice whatever characters or play whatever character. But until then, respect, man. Gotta be respectful. That's what's
100%.
most important.
Ah, I think that says it, man. I think that
Yeah.
does. Anything else you wanted to anything else you need to address before?
Oh, nah. Just look forward to those X-Men episodes coming soon,
Yeah, we do
yeah.
have something to talk about. There's we'll talk well, I'll save it for the episodes, but there is quite a bit of what we just were on
Mhm.
and going on in the casting of the X-Men cartoons. And
Mhm.
I think it's interesting. I think it'll
It
be
is
fun to talk
interesting.
about. um that said, y'all, thank you so much for hanging out. Thanks for letting us be a
Hey.
part of your day.
Mhm.
We really appreciate your time. We respect your time here at HRD Mode Selected. You could have been doing anything in the
Absolutely.
world right now, but you decided to come hang with us fools. So appreciate you. As far as the sign off stuff, you know, the typical stuff. I just want to tell everybody, for more hard mode selected, be sure to everybody do the YouTube. All right, do the YouTube, like, share, subscribe, so you don't miss a lick of the content that we have coming for you. And remember, when you are out and about, you can find us other places as well. We're not just on YouTube. You can follow us on twitch.tv/hard mode selected. That is HRD Mode Selected. We should have good tags to have you covered just in case you misspell it. But yes, HRD Mode Selected is the way to go. And that's on Twitch. You can join us for some live gaming sessions and some live podcast episodes. And that's going to be a great time. We'd love to have you there. Come holler at us throughout the week. You can catch us on Instagram and TikTok. Once again, HRD Mode Selected, at HRD Mode Selected, anywhere you can find us. And yeah, we appreciate the engagement. We appreciate you spending time with us hanging. If you are looking for more Drado, where can they find that, Drado?
You can find me everywhere at @just_Drado, and everywhere I mean Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, and that's it.
Word. And as for me, same deal. I am PHILSpecialMeter across all platforms that I care to be bothered with. You can find them primarily. They are Patreon, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram, and you know, at PHILSpecialMeter. Thank you so much once again. We will be back with all kinds of content. So keep a lookout. Make sure you get that hit that bell notification for the subscription and the notifications to our content, because you don't want to miss it, especially when we're talking X-Men. We get a little excited when we're talking about X-Men.
Oh yeah.
All right. This has been Drado and Phil, and we are signing off. We want to remind you, be good to yourselves, and know that when life hits you hard, you just gotta get back up, hit back a little bit harder. We appreciate you. Take care.
Peace.